Again, Buhari receives progressives governors, security, economy, and 2023 elections lead agenda.
We can realize this commitment and collaborate with all ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure that our country maximizes the essence of this presidential delivery tracker.
Federal government unveils monitoring and feedback mechanism to track projects across the country.
At this point, we expect everyone to be asked to be reasonable too. The government have done their bit.
Plus, ASU strike now indefinite. Nigerians no longer comfortable. Call for a common ground. Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. I am Ian Ray. John Adola Komiakere joins me from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. And just a quick reminder that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. We begin from the State House, where President Muhammadu Buhari is reassuring Nigerians that governing All Progressives Congress will continue to bequeath strong political institutions that reflect their choices through non-interference in elections. Receiving members of the Progressives Governors Forum, the President cited the outcome of Ekiti, Anambra and Osun governorship polls as clear indicators. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports.
Members of the Progressive Governors Forum were in the State House to formally thank the President for his leadership, guided by wisdom and foresight, as well as compare notes on the state of the nation and the forthcoming elections. President Muhammadu Buhari dwelled extensively on his disposition and belief in non-interference in elections, saying it gives credence to the political process, ensures participation and inclusiveness, as well as shows the governing party's respect for the electorate. The president said APC under his leadership will continue to respect Nigerians by ensuring that their votes count and the people's voice matter in choosing political leaders at different levels. He said the government will also ensure that Nigerians don't get intimidated or humiliated by those in positions or the more privileged. As he puts it, we will not allow anyone to use personal resources or their influence to intimidate other Nigerians. We will not allow intimidations materially, morally, or physically. This is the kind of leadership that can emerge and consolidate our nation. He went further to say that in 6 months, Nigerians will surely appreciate the sincerity of the APC government, but urged political leaders to intensify efforts in thinking, meeting, and strategizing for the 2023 elections. Chairman, Progressives Governors Forum and Governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, had congratulated the Nigerian leader on the positive trajectory of the economy with a 3.5% growth in the second quarter, up from 3.1% in the first quarter of this year. He said despite the challenges, infrastructure projects are ongoing in parts of the country and the social intervention programs are expanding. The governor said the growth trajectory had defied initial predictions of some multilateral institutions, affirming that the World Bank and others had acknowledged the resilience of the nation's economy and reviewed their positions. The Progressive Governors Forum also noted efforts at improving security and measures to curb oil theft in the Niger Delta. The chairman told the president that some APC governors contesting elections for a second term in 2023 have impressive records in their first term. Discussions held behind closed doors also touched on the prolonged strike by ASU. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo received a delegation of the All Progressives Congress governors who are on a felicitation visit as he recovers from the surgery done last month. Vice President Osinbajo expressed his appreciation for the visit and the good wishes and also commended the expertise of Nigerian doctors and their availability of cutting-edge medical facilities existing in the country. But he regretted that doctors are restrained by regulations to advertise, and as a result, many people are unaware of the level of quality medical services available locally. Important national issues were also raised, especially regarding the economy and the ASU strike. Chairman of the APC Governors Forum, Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, spoke briefly to the press after the meeting.
To ASU in particular, and indeed all stakeholders, let us do what will ensure that we don't miss out. Nigeria is competing with other countries. We do not have the luxury of time, so we'll continue to urge all stakeholders to do the same. On medical tourism, I just mentioned how happy we are that the Vice President showed confidence in the, and he drew our attention to something that we didn't know. He said that in other countries, medical professionals can advertise their skills. In Nigeria, there is a professional code of conduct that denies them the opportunity. So he invited us to look at that so that we can also maybe put pressure so that Nigerian medical professionals can be at par with their professionals in the world, meaning that we will know the capacity and competencies that are here locally, and I'm sure that will boost medical tourism.
And away from the State House, the federal government says those behind the nation's misfortune in the oil sector will not go unpunished, as security agencies have been left off the hook to go after them. Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, says with the unveiling of the organization by President Muhammadu Buhari, there is now a clear vision that is repositioning the sector and aims to end fuel importation in 2023. Jide Onifade reports.
It is often said that government has no business in business. This is due to a number of factors, which includes the prevailing laws that inhibit taking prompt and decisive decisions. While featuring at the 48th edition of the State House press briefing, Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Mele Kyari, says such laws need to be retouched for the nation to profit from its numerous natural resources.
Many of the national oil companies that you are seeing today, that actually started well after us, but we didn't do the catch-up because they have something different. And what is different is that these companies have limited liability. And that's what our law did for us. The Petroleum Industry Act came and converted this company as a matter of requirement to be a limited liability company, which means that it has no recourse to public funds.
One good thing about the Petroleum Industry Act, as he explains, is the opportunity it created for the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to delve into other areas. The coming up of the NNPC Limited, the story is now different.
What it means is that this company must have a different corporate strategy, which we have put in place. Because this is a basic requirement of the Company and Allied Matters Act and every other best practice in the energy sector. Doing small, modular, condensate refineries that we're building, if that happens, and we are very optimistic it will West African sub-region, but to the rest of the world, this will happen. The flow of supply will change.
Kyari says crude oil theft is the most challenging issue. The company
will also be used by the Central Delivery Coordination Unit in its office to monitor the performances of ministries, departments and agencies of government in public service delivery. Matari Ikme brings us details.
The Presidential Delivery Tracker and website is designed by the Central Delivery Coordination Unit, CDCU, in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to track the implementation of government programs and projects along the 9 priority areas outlined by the Buhari administration for the purposes of accountability.
On a weekly basis, I submit a report to Mr. President, and I've started serializing the performances of the last quarter of ministries. I've taken 9 ministries so far, and I'll continue until I finish all the way to the 29 ministries and the Office of the Head of Civil Service.
On the flip side, the SGF says the new website is easy to navigate and encourages real-time participation of citizens in governance, as they can search for the status of projects in their localities and upload feedback with pictures on the quality of public services from the comfort of their homes using their smartphones.
We can realize this commitment and collaborate with all ministries, departments and agencies to ensure that our country maximizes the essence of this presidential delivery tracker.
To achieve this objective, the CDCU has incorporated a performance management system with that dashboard set up in key offices which serve as tool for measuring MDS performance in real time in the implementation of ministerial deliverables against negotiated targets.
The delivery tracker is an important initiative and should be encouraged across the 3 tiers of government.
We would like to see the measure of trust. To what degree do citizens trust that their engagement with the app will translate to positive outcomes? We want to see the measure of participation. So what percentage of the population will use the app?
Everyone here agrees that the presidential delivery tracker and website represents a strong commitment by the federal government towards transparency, and with this, citizens can demand action if projects and programs are not delivered in their localities. Bitare Igben, NTA News.
Many thanks, Bitari. Now looking at the aviation sector, members of Airline Operators of Nigeria have 1 month from Tuesday, 30th August 2022 to settle billions of naira owed government agencies in the Ministry of Aviation to avoid their licenses from being suspended. The warning by the Nigeria Civil Aviation is part of measures to ensure airlines keep to their financial obligations to the industry. Aviation correspondent Emmanuel Aimiro reports.
We've not charged anything that is unusual, that is not charged in any part of the world.
In recent times, there are claims in the media about multiple charges by government agencies which have been responsible for high cost of operation in the aviation industry. But the opposite is the truth, as this meeting with the members of Airlines Operators of Nigeria revealed that the NCAA has not increased charges since 2009. Same with FAN and NAMA, but any slight increase in Jet A1, airline operators are quick to review airfares upward.
Any airline that defaults 3 times in a row in compliance with this MOU, their AOC automatically becomes suspended with immediate effect.
The Nigerian domestic airlines indebted to NAMA to the tune of 5,735,336 naira as at 30th June 2022.
International landing and parking charges were last reviewed in 1998, and for the domestic 2002, 20 years. This was the time when airlines were charging less than 1,000 naira. Other stakeholders providing services in the same industry have nonetheless proceeded to increase their fares. This fact is evidenced in airfare as well as handling charges across Nigeria.
For the operators, there are challenges yet to be addressed by the government. However, they are hopeful of meeting their financial obligations.
But if I knew that meeting was being called for it, I would have pleaded with you not to let us discuss it in-house. You've been very supportive. All of you here have been very, extremely supportive.
While government is waiting patiently for airlines to do the needful, it says the idea is to strengthen financial and safety audit of every indigenous airline. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
And on the present environmental challenge, President Buhari is receiving regular updates on the flood situation in the country, which has affected over 500,000 Nigerians since January this year. Extending heartfelt condolences to all the families affected by the recent flooding in different states across the country, the President pledges that the federal government will continue to provide the needed emergency assistance to individuals and communities impacted by the disaster. He also invites other public-spirited individuals and organizations to support hundreds of thousands of people in need of urgent help in the affected communities. The President reiterates that these tragic events have brought to the fore the need for states and local governments to step up their level of preparedness in handling emergencies, which remains a shared responsibility with the government at the center. The President urges inhabitants of flood-prone areas to always adhere to the early warning advisories as issued by the organization saddled with climate monitoring and disaster management. Since January this year, flooding has been reported in Lagos, Yobe, Borno, Taraba, Adamawa, Edo, Delta, Kogi, Niger, Plateau, Benue, Ebonyi, Anambra, Bauchi, Gombe, Kano, Jigawa, Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, Imo, Abia states, and the Federal Capital Territory, affecting 508,721 people. The destructive floods have displaced 73,379 people, 115 casualties, and injured 277 people. The floods and heavy rain have left around 37,633 houses destroyed or severely damaged. According to latest data made available to the presidency from the relevant federal government ministries, departments, and agencies. This is NTA Network News. Time for our first break. Please stay.
Never again should this happen. We have passed through this path before, and it was not good for us. I remember the horror, the crime, the blood. Dead bodies everywhere. I almost lost my mind. I could not sleep. I remember the cry of innocent children. Many lives were changed forever. Again. Let us all stand in solidarity with our armed forces, our men and women. Oh, we must stand in truth, in honesty, to build a vibrant nation. A nation that you and I can be proud of.
Flood is a nature-induced disaster exacerbated by human activity that has affected thousands of people over the years, with many lives lost and properties destroyed. Seasonal forecast has revealed the possible flooding in some states as a result of torrential rainfall. To mitigate and avert the impact of the flood, do not build houses along waterways. Provide proper drainage. Evacuate from flood-prone areas immediately to safer ground. Stop blocking waterways and channels. Adhere to early warning alerts. Always listen to weather forecasts. Take warnings from relevant authorities seriously. Disaster management is everybody's business. This message is from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. NEMA, for the sake of the distressed.
When you wake up in the morning, before you start your day, breakfast time is for work and for play, for a great start to your day. Breakfast time is time.
We start our day with a nourishing Kellogg's breakfast, powered with the goodness of grains and 11 essential vitamins and minerals. Kellogg's makes a great tasting breakfast for all of us.
Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
Join us to stop crude oil and product theft at production sites, on the pipeline, at terminals, at the depots, on vessels, at refineries. Help stop crude oil and product theft. Report infringements to www.stopcrutheft.com. You can also validate genuine purchase at validate.stopcrutheft.com. Please report and be rewarded. This message is from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company.
His Excellency Yesom Ezewonwike, CON, GSSRS, POS Africa, Governor of Rivers State, cordially invites the general public to the flag-off of the construction of internal roads in Igruta town in Ikwere local government area of Rivers State. This project, on its completion, will play an important role in poverty alleviation, enable transportation, facilitate trade and business opportunities. The project flag-off will be performed by His Excellency Dr. ITs must adhere to COVID-19 protocol. We welcome Your Excellency and all invited guests. Announcer Kelvin Ebiri, Special Assistant on Media to the Governor of Rivers State.
We don't like to eat better, more nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. No cubes, that's the secret. made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
Thank you for staying. It appears the end to industrial disharmony between government and the nation's public striking university lecturers is not yet in sight. This followed the union's decision this week to carry on with a total and indefinite strike at the expiration of the 4 weeks rollover of down tools in the last 6 months. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
In the last 197 days, ASU has been on the news, having held the university system to ransom, sequel to industrial action. Part of its reason is the non-implementation of the 2009 agreement between it and the government. While negotiations have been on, appeals have been tendered to the union from different quarters. It has not been the only university union that has issues with the federal government. SANU, NASU and NAT have theirs with strike action too. But after negotiations, the unions yielded to pleas and suspended the strike to give room for the implementation of the agreed issues with their employer.
The entire global socio-political order is in turmoil, is in crisis. We have a nation to rescue. The experience has shown that after every elongated ASU strike, the education gets worse. It is a duty, in a call to duty for ASU and for government. We continue to negotiate, but ASU go back to class.
Apart from Congress of University Academics, CONUA, a breakaway from ASU appealing for government registration, which has not joined the strike. Others are some state-owned universities that started the struggle with ASU. Eventually, resumed academic activities.
Once the infrastructures are not used, or if they are being used, if they are not being used and being maintained, it means there is a cost running into nothingness. You cannot be servicing the hostels, you cannot be renovating classes without enough effect it will have on our educational system. Is another thing to think about for them to return back.
If one may ask, is the university system the only sector seeking attention? Does the government have the resources to meet the ASU's demand? And even if these demands are met, when will the union end this annual ritual called strike in the nation's public universities? And these are questions begging for answers. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
So many questions indeed, and the pronouncement of total and indefinite strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has been described as an impediment to the development of the future generation of Nigeria and capable of promoting criminal activities among youths. Annie Daniels reports that a cross-section of Lagos residents say the development is rather insensitive and uncalled for, urging all sides to resolve the lingering dispute. To resolve the lingering dispute.
Until the 14th of February 2022, the University of Lagos and all other federal universities were bubbling with academic and social activities. But now, all Nigeria's federal university campuses have become almost like a graveyard, owing to a lingering dispute that seems to have defied solutions.
My child finished secondary school at the age of 16. She's now 19. She got admission to Unilag this last session. She has only spent about 6 weeks in the university, and they've been on ASU strike.
This ASU strike is more reason why the crime in Nigeria is increasing, because they say that idle mind is devil workshop.
Our respondents applaud the federal government for meeting 80% of ASU's demands and see no reason for embarking on indefinite strike.
If the government have shifted a little, they too should just chant, and probably come down with their demands.
Another reason given by ASU for extending the strike is the no work, no pay rule insisted by the government.
Government can come on government union that has powers to be back up with genuine government decision to resolve union crisis in Nigeria.
Already, some state universities have pulled out of the strike, and my respondents only wish federal universities would shift their swords and follow suit. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Now, Boside Ebo has more reactions of Nigerians on the extension of the ASU strike.
Nigerians have continued to react to the recent strike extension by ASU. Let's get to find out how they feel about this recent development.
At this point, we expect everyone to be ASU to be reasonable too. The government have done their bit. ASU should at least let them be reasonable too, so that the children could go back to class. It's not even the government will not do all at once. For them to have shown some concern, I expect ASU to be reasonable too.
ASU should be considerate, and with that too, federal government should be considerate. Two of them should negotiate and come to round table and settle the matter.
In as much as ASU is making legitimate and very cogent, demand, the rigidity might be an issue, and so reasonable lessons have been taught and learned. And I'm requesting that for once, let us give some concessions.
The ASU strike have negatively influenced the students' life and their studies. The federal government have not only done what they are supposed to do, because 80%, yes, they've tried to some persons, but as former student knowledge, I think they should do the 100% so students can go back to school.
I'm equally a student and I need my result to go for NYSC, and it's been delayed because of this process, and I'm not happy with them. And we are pleading to them that they should please call off the strike sincerely.
Meanwhile, there are indications that the legislative arm of government is making efforts to achieve final resolution of the prolonged industrial impasse by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. National Assembly correspondent Bolaji Moribiri reports that this indication emerged during a visit by the Senate to the Ministry of Education in Abuja.
This visit is part of the statutory mandate of the National Assembly, the ministries, departments and agencies under its supervision. Top on the agenda of the meeting is the prolonged strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the recent indefinite extension.
Whatever we can do, I will appeal to you with the fear of God. I will also tell the university teachers, things are not exactly okay right now. Challenges are global. To a point of making these lecturers know that you are offered the optimum.
I feel that maybe the ministry can intervene in your dialogue, national dialogue. I don't think it will bring a better solution.
Government has done everything, discussed everything, and virtually yielded to all the requests of us. The only thing the government refused to yield to is for us to be paid for 6 months that they did not work. Where it is now, for the parliament to intervene, call us and beg them on behalf of our students, on behalf of government, beg them.
The Senate expressed optimism that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, through its intervention, will consider the offer made so far to end the 6-month-old strike. In Abuja, Mobolaji Moribiri, NTA News.
Now, to discuss more about this extension by ASU, talking about the strike, is the chairman, pro-chancellors of state-owned universities. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right. Can you shed more light on what your committee raised when you told ASU that membership of the union is voluntary?
Well, the Committee of Pro-Chancellors of State Universities have taken a stand on all these issues. Number one, you will all appreciate that all agreements had always been between ASU and the federal government. The implication of that is that those agreements are actually not binding on state universities, because we are not parties to the agreements. Number two is that going forward, we are in a federal system of government. The state has its own rules, the federal government has its own rules, the local governments also have their own roles to play. Employees of state universities are employees of the governments of the states. Unions cannot impose agreements they reach with their own employers on those who are not their employers, the states. That is the point of COPSON, Committee of Pro-chancellors of State Universities.
All right, valid point
As
there.
well. Yes, please.
You also asked for democratization of the unions operating in the universities. What does that mean?
Well, number one, you appreciate that anybody who has studied ASU very well, it is a pattern has arisen where some individuals virtually abandon teaching and research to be doing union work. That is number one. Number two is that if we truly operate a constitution that guarantees freedom, there can be no compulsion in belonging to unions. People, like it happens in other parts of the world, workers must be able to decide whether to belong or not to belong. That is the beauty of democracy. Actually, as a matter of fact, in other climes, when unions want to go on strike, individuals reserve the right to tell the unions, I don't want to join this particular strike. Those who join, they know the consequence. And the issue of no work, no pay is not alien. It's been in our statute books for decades. And that is the best international practice as well.
Okay.
Apart from this country, I'm not aware, and I stand to be educated, of other countries in the world, even the rich countries of the world, the United States, the countries of Europe, UK, you go on strike for 1 hour, you will not be paid for the 1 hour.
Okay.
You go on strike for 2 weeks, yeah.
All right, that's actually correct, if you want to look at other climes. But, the public will be surprised, that you're taking this position at this point because, you have described the approach of ASU to fund the universities as a cake because all along, the union has been enjoying your backing and you now seem to be backing out from the struggle. Why is that?
We are not backing out. We are just trying to provide a reasonable alternative. Like our elders will say, beheading is not the answer for headache. Now, these students have been away now from their studies for 6 months. If you look at the fallback effect of all these strikes, number one, many of the laboratories where they bought reagents, chemicals for students to use for experiment, they've gone bad now after 6 months. There are people who make their own daily living from servicing students and workers in the universities by way of provision of services, be it selling food, transportation. They have been out of business for 6 months. So the rollback of effect of it is the problem. So if we can't look at it in a narrow way, we must be holistic. There are a lot of other Indians whose livelihood have been destroyed in the last 6 months just because the strike is on. Don't talk about it. The students is also very significant. If you ask, in universities that are not going on strike, like especially private universities and some state universities, you discover that those who are in 300 levels in those universities now, their counterparts in federal universities are still in the 100 level.
Very true. Thank you very much, Yusuf Alaolu Ali, for sharing your thoughts with us as regards the ASU strike.
Thank you.
And of course, looking forward to the resolution of the dispute between ASU and government. Away from the ASU strike now, premium content brand Dangote Cement PLC is rewarding its customers with a lunch of the Bag of Goodies Season 3 Consumer Promo. The Spell and Win promo is designed to appreciate valued customers for their partnership in ensuring Dangote Cement remains their first choice. Jenny Bassi reports.
In a bid to appreciate loyal customers for their love and patronage, Africa's leading cement brand, Dangote Cement PLC, is rewarding faithful customers in a mouth-watering bag of goodies Season 3 consumer promo, a huge investment that offers loyal customers the chance to win prizes with immense economic value. Mr. Noah Adefusi, a businessman, is the mega-star winner of the Spell and Win Dangote Cement promo.
Last year, it's not easy, and this year too, I just summon courage. God make me the winner and let me win 5 million, and God did it for me.
This is real. It's not scam. Dangote all the way.
National Sales Director Dangote Cement Fumi Sani said the Season 3 of the goodies bag tagged Spell Dangote and Become a Multi-Millionaire is aware of giving back to its loyal customers.
Once you buy Dangote cement, you open it. In each bag, there's a scratch card. At the back of the scratch card, there is a panel that the consumers will have to scratch gently to reveal their instant gifts. And we have 32.5 million units of instant gifts to be won in this promo.
Consumers have been very loyal to us because we are the leading brand in cement manufacturing. So this is a way of honoring them, rewarding them for their loyalty. And we believe that by doing this, we would have empowered families also.
This offer is still open to customers of the brand, while redemption of gift items will be at their depot, regional offices, and specially selected wholesale outlets. In Port Harcourt, Jenny Bassi, NTA News.
And still in Port Harcourt, the Ogunabali Sandfield area and estate layout is one of the areas earmarked by the Rivers State government in its urban renewal drive in Port Harcourt, with the aim of decongesting the city metropolis. Ogidi Onyekure reports that Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu State was the special guest at the inauguration.
As the population of Port Harcourt keeps growing because of urban migration, the need to create new cities to decongest the existing ones becomes paramount. The Obunno Abale Sandfield area and estate layout is intended to serve as a new city in Port Harcourt. It is strategically located at a high-brow area of the city and shares neighborhood with a multinational company with its own facilities. Governor Wike says the area before its transformation can be best described as a criminal hideout, but with the infrastructural development, it is now a safe haven and can take up to 160 families.
It is allocated here to build, you'll be happy. Security is tight. Every infrastructure has been provided. It's all for you to link. Sewage, everything. So you don't need to begin to dig your own sewage. No. To begin to do your own borehole. No.
Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi acknowledged the leap Governor Nyesom Wike has made and the state infrastructurally. He said the project will enrich the area.
I gladly behold the magnificent, innovative, engineering intensive and audacious project of land reclamation, shore protection, road networks, drains, power station, water reticulation and housing complex at Obunna Valley, Sandfield, Port Harcourt, clinically delivered by Wike's administration.
The Obunno Abale Sandfield area and estate layout entails land reclamation, shore protection and water reticulation plant. The entire expanse is about 15 hectares of land with 2.3 kilometers of internal roads, fenced with gates. In Port Harcourt, Ogedi Nyekwe, NTA News.
And from Port Harcourt, we head to Lagos, where Adiola will feed us with more news. Adiola, it's over to you.
More than 15,000 Nigerians are to be trained in technical and vocational education in a new education initiative announced by the federal government aimed at lifting 1 million out of poverty by 2030. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Education, Fela Bank-Olemo, disclosed this while fielding questions from journalists at 2022 Education Summit, which opened in Lagos. Musa Toliat completes the report.
The Technical and Vocational Education Training Program, tagged TVET, is an initiative by the federal government in addition to the various ongoing life-transforming programs aimed at equipping more than 10 million Nigerians by 2030 through acquisition of technical and vocational skills to make them economically independent. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Education Intervention, Fela Bank Olima, says the laudable education initiative is starting with a pilot scheme in selected states across the country.
So we're rolling out this program in Lagos, Ogun, Edo, Nasarawa, Gombe, Kaduna, and Enugu. 7 states, pilot states. From now to the end of this year, we're going to be training 15,000 students across the country. And we feel strongly that this model is something we're going to scale up. And we have Nigerians on the streets that don't have any skills. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the logic behind TMAX. And we're confident that we can make it happen. And we feel strongly that's a model we can use to crack the TVET challenge we have in Nigeria.
He added that some of the skills that will be deployed include information communication technology, ICT, tiling and stonework, solar installation, welding and fabrication, plumbing and fittings, domestic electrical wiring and installation, furniture works, beauty care and cosmetology, refrigeration and air conditioning repairs, and automotive technology. In Lagos, Musa Toliad, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, is repositioning to live up to its mandate of dictating the pace in news and programming in Africa. To this end, the largest TV network is focusing on upgrading its infrastructure and upscaling staff welfare with the sole aim of improving its operations. The Acting Director General, Malam Abdul Hamid Dembos, reiterated this at his first official meeting with staff of the Lagos Network Center. Lynn Leneke has the details.
With more than 90 stations spread across the country, NTA has expanded its tentacles to the nook and crannies of Nigeria. As a statement of intent to continue to show direction in terms of television broadcasting, the Acting Director General stressed that embracing innovation in the digital space and improving staff welfare are imperative to drive a new dawn. As a starting point to achieving the mandate, this interaction with the staff of the Lagos Network Center of the NTA in company of executive directors became necessary. Zonal Director, Lagos Network Center, highlighted issues peculiar to the center and the need to address them, considering the strategic position the Lagos Network Center occupies when it comes to revenue generation. He emphatically stressed the need for adequate logistics, upgrading of equipment, and improving staff strength, among others. Acting Director General urged staff to consolidate on their commitment to enable NTA achieve its responsibility to the citizenry, noting that all the issues raised by staff management of Lagos Network Center will be adequately addressed.
We value Lagos very much, and I had to take them back to memory lanes, the place of fears that Lagos Network Center was occupying years back, and we want to make sure that we get it back to that former position of theirs. And by the time we're able to get through with what we've been able to agree with the staff today, the face of NTA Network Center and of course NTA is going to change for the better.
The platform was also an avenue for staff to contribute to the developmental quest of the organization.
From the perspective of what he has said so far, you can see the passion in which he spoke. Every question that was raised, he made sure he gave answers to them, which were very convincing.
And we believe that with this visit, there is going to be a great turnaround.
The take home for both the management and generality of staff from the Lagos Network Center is that a new path to growth has been laid, and its actualization depends largely on everybody playing their roles. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
Good to know there. And that does it from Lagos. But do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screens for updates. The news will continue after this time out with Thierry in Abuja. Don't go away.
Where's Glory? Excuse me, ma'am.
Where Glo now?
They're here.
You don't go village, tell all our customer abi.
Everybody pay attention. See, now global recated 10x. Now him I they take tension my customers. Now he they dash me 10 times the credit when I load. Or even me double data join.
So with 1.5 when they give on the box, so you they enjoy up to
15,000 naira credit and data. And I say I never finish you. See, I say we enjoy when I join global recated 10x. When I go get 1,000 naira welcome credits, you just carry your phone, dial star 777 hash. Glow, you don't win. Una still there here. Hello, please, I'm looking for Glow. Please said now Glow we dey fine. Now Glow we dey go. Okay, so
enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Glow Berekete 10X. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data and double data bonus on your subscription.
When you wake up in the morning, before you start your day, breakfast time is time. For work and for play, for a great start to your day, breakfast time is time.
We start our day with a nourishing Kellogg's breakfast, powered with the goodness of grains and 11 essential vitamins and minerals. Kellogg's makes a great tasting breakfast for all of us.
Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
Music is fuel that fires up our souls. Today, African music has a dominant place on the world map. This massive music movement creating waves across the globe.
I have seen the evolution and the growth of this industry.
But every movement starts with a story. And the best place to start any story is at the very beginning.
It's harmonious energy that can only have come from Africa.
What is happening? Your eyes are red. You are armed with a machete and a gun.
See, I am angry and I can't even contain it. See.
My guy, calm down, calm down.
See, Oga, I have planned to go and destroy this fool's business in the city. I have to retaliate for what they've done at our own place. They cannot eat their cake and have it now, never.
If you destroy their business here, and they destroy that of those close to you over there, especially that your brother who sends you steady cash, how would you survive? Would your dreams be on hold?
See, what you're saying is correct. But I'm still angry.
The best way is to embrace peace. With peace and unity.
My people, let us embrace peace and unity. Let's learn to live as brothers and sisters for a progressive, prosperous nation. This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Glad to have you back. It's a race against time in Kano as rescue workers intensify efforts to rescue victims trapped under the rubble of the collapsed 3-story building at GSM Market along Beirut Road in the state metropolis. Awal Salisu files in this update.
It is a pathetic moment with a number of traders and customers trapped under the rubble of this collapsed building. Some of them are calling and responding to calls of friends and relatives, but their locations under the rubble are yet to be traced. Rescue workers are busy trying to save lives, but only 2 victims have been rescued so far. There are fears of possibility of death in view of the busy nature of the market and the enormity of the incident, with the numbers under the debris still unknown. Adam Musa, a fruit seller, is one of those that escaped from the unfortunate incident. He ran to safety when he heard sound of the building collapsing. Kano State Deputy Governor Nasri Yusuf Gawuna, who visited the area, said the state government is collaborating with all stakeholders to expedite action towards rescuing the victims trapped under the debris.
What we are expecting people to do now is to cooperate and allow the technical people do their job and see, because there is possibility that there are people under this place so that their lives can be saved. At the moment, the government has deployed all that it can to make sure that lives are being saved.
It is a race against time, even as the rescue mission continues, with 2 excavators and only 4 persons rescued as at the time of compiling this report. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Kano State Government has suspended the swearing-in ceremony of commissioners designate earlier scheduled for Wednesday. in honor of victims trapped in a 3-story building collapse at a GSM market along Beirut Road in the metropolis. In a statement, the governor, while sympathizing with the victims, ordered an intensified rescue operation to get out those trapped in the rubbles. Lamenting the unfortunate incident, he noted that investigation is ongoing to unravel the cause of the collapsed structure and their construction. The statement also shared the sad moment with the victims of Monday's flooding that occurred in many parts of the metropolis, during which valuable items were lost. And away from Kano State, in his continued efforts to build community resilience in resettled communities in the state, Borno State Governor and Professor Babagana Umara Zulum visited Kwaskawa Market, a former Boko Haram stronghold in Kukawa local government on the fringes of Lake Chad. The people of the community were returned voluntarily by Governor Zulum when Baga Mogano Road was reopened in July 2020. Mohammed Goni reports.
Kwaskawa is located about 200 kilometers away from Maiduguri in the far northern part of Borno State on the shores of Lake Chad. The governor visited the community as part of his 3 days engagement in northern Borno senatorial zone, where he supervised enrollment of over 4,000 school-aged children. Governor Zulum interacted with the people, some of whom came from other neighboring communities in the Lake Chad basin. The governor was impressed with the livelihood activities taking place there, assuring the people that his administration will continue to provide all the necessary support for the security agencies to ensure that the emerging peace is sustained.
This is Kwaskawa, and we are right now inside the cattle market. You have seen how busy the market is. Normalcy has returned to Borno State, and then government of Borno State will continue to strengthen the resilience with a view to promoting peace building, social cohesion and stability in the entire state. Let me also use this opportunity to commend the efforts of the Nigerian military, commend the effort of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The governor also observed that the provision of livelihood to the people remain a viable tool in the fight against insurgency, saying living in the IDP's camp is no longer feasible and people should be supported to provide livelihood for themselves. Governor Babagana Umara added that Borno State government will continue the reconstruction and rehabilitation of destroyed houses and municipal buildings to resettle communities and promote trans-border trade. Meanwhile, Governor Babagana Umara Zulum also inspected farming activities in Mungunot local government area, where he was overwhelmed and pledged to assist the farmers with all necessary inputs. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari shares in the joy of the occasion with Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Reverend Father Matthew Hassan Kuka, as he turns 70. President Buhari joins the Catholic Church, friends and associates in celebrating with the priest on the milestone. The president notes the contributions of the priest, teacher, scholar and writer to national discourse. President Buhari praised the Almighty God to grant Reverend Father Kuka longer life, good health and strength. Time for another break. Please stay.
Forget last season. Forget the winners and the losers. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because this is a brand new season on GoTV. And it's going to be bigger and better than any season before it. With over 7 leagues and top competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seats in the house this new football season. Get a decoder, GoTenna, plus 1 month GoTV Max for 6,900 Naira only. Bigger season, greater football. GoTV. Love it.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque. Please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
President Muhammadu Buhari celebrates with veteran journalist Mrs. Bisi Amagada on her 80th birthday, rejoicing with the first female editor of the Observer newspaper for a worthy and impactful life. The president notes the brilliance, clarity and accuracy that Amagada projects her writings and administrative work, consistently placing interest of the country and citizens in right perspective while drawing her inspiration from deep fear of God and love for studying the Holy Bible. As a veteran journalist who is a fellow of the Nigerian Guild of Editors turns an octogenarian, President Buhari commends her courage in choosing a career in journalism and following through the rigorous demands of traveling, thinking, writing and meeting deadlines. Let's have a bit of sports now.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dare has met with the Nigerian football club owners to enhance the league.
Is the need to hunker down and start to apply the rules as they should be applied.
Head coach of Nigerian's female under-17 side has called up 35 players to camp in Abuja ahead of the 7th FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup taking place in India in October. The Flamingos defeated DR Congo, Egypt and Ethiopia to qualify for the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. Still on football, winners have emerged at the 2022 Lagos FA Cup, which ended at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena on Nikon, Lagos. In the first match, Robo Football Club beat Dinas Ladies by 4-0 to retain their title as Lagos FA Cup champions, as well as getting the trophy for a record 12th time. In the men's final, Dinas Football Club beat Otasolo by 3-1 to be crowned champions.
We have grassroots teams coming to the top of the FA Cup. You know, the FA Cup is a giant killing competition.
To Power Sports, in a bid to grow the game of para-sitting volleyball in the country, the World Para Volleyball Africa has organized its first Level 1 course for referees and coaches. The program, which had theoretical and practical sessions, had about 54 participants from Nigeria, Ghana and Benin Republic.
It's the World Para Volley certification that will enable them to, anywhere in the world to officiate.
To tennis, the second edition of the Futures Tennis Tournament has ended at the Lagos Lawn Tennis Club. The week-long developmental tennis program organized by the International Tennis Academy was in the under 10, 12, 14 and 16 categories.
Behind every successful athlete is a team, and that team begins with the parents.
Boxing enthusiasts have stressed the need to have standard facilities for Nigerian boxers. This was the focus of the 121st edition of the Lagos Boxing Show.
We need a good team for training boxers.
10 bouts featured in various weight categories, including the juniors. With sports updates, Gift George, NTA News.
Our sports done. We're done with the news tonight. Many thanks for watching, and please remember, let's put an end to rape and rapists. Join the League of Stars. I'm Ian Ray John. Have a good night.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
I'm a teacher by profession. I trained as a nurse. I could not even remember some of them, but by their approach, greeting and respect.
I make beads. I liquid soap is I have stopped buying liquid soap from the market. I make it and I teach these young ones how to do that. And when I do, it is not for any fee.
In most cases, I serve as consultants. Many people come to me inquiring how to go about doing the farming. I normally direct them on what to do.
Right now, I'm not into any paid job, as I said, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Senior citizens over the years have shown that they are still capable of working. They have shown that retirement is only but a social construct, not a limitation. Senior citizens until the end carry around a wealth of knowledge that we can tap into. They have walked these journeys we now walk today. They have amassed all of these experiences so they can stand holding the torch so we do not stumble in the dark. Our senior citizens are national assets packed full with inestimable value. They should not be condemned to a life of obscurity, but one where they serve to illuminate our path. Promoting senior citizens for intergenerational workforce.
What is happening? Your eyes are red. Your armed with a machete and a gun. See, I am angry and I can't even contain it. See. Oh, my guy, calm down. See, calm down. See, I have planned to go and destroy this food business in the city. I have to retaliate for what they've done at our place. They cannot eat their cake and have it now, never. If you destroy their business here and they destroy that of those close to you over there, especially that your brother who sends you steady cash, how would you survive? Would your dreams be on hold? See, what you're saying is correct, but I'm still angry. Best way is to embrace peace. With peace and unity.
My people, let us embrace peace and unity. Let's learn to live as brothers and sisters for a progressive, prosperous nation. This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer long second Niger bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class second Niger Bridge Onitsha will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government and it is deserving of all the applause.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque, please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message from the National Orientation Agency.
My name is Biko. And I'm Mana. And together we are Biko's Mana.
What is up, everyone? My name is Ricky Smith, and I am the writer and producer of the Sesame Street Friends theme song.
Hey, it's time to play. We're glad you came because we love to share.
It's been so cool working with Biko and Mana on this project. They've been incredibly professional, and obviously they are so talented. We could not have found better people to sing this song.
Hey, it's time to play. We're glad you came
Because we love to share, we can laugh and sing, to try new things with new friends everywhere. Let's have some fun with everyone. Because we love to learn together, making new friends forever. Instead of these street friends. My yellow auntie, beautiful auntie. Ma, see this my beautiful banana. This banana, it will give you long life and prosperity. Auntie, anywhere you go, they will follow you. This banana sweet, so I go send and cheap for you. Cheap.
This pikin. You get mouth, oh, your mouth is so sweet. They should be calling you sugar tongue. So, banana will give me long life and prosperity.
This banana, money go to follow you.
Yes.
Just buy, you go like am.
The banana is money magnet. Happy?
Auntie, trust me now.
Okay, I've heard you. So, how much is this one?
1,004. But because na you, fine mommy, I go sell am 700. Look, I just come up 300.
Okay, I hear you. Long life and prosperity on top of banana.
You go like this banana, eh? You don't like this banana, where?
So how old are you?
I did 15, but because I small like this, I did 12.
And you're not in school?
I'm not in school, oh, mommy. This banana, now my only business now. Oh. So if you want buy, just buy. Okay. If you don't want buy, still buy. Because me need the money for my brother with the hospital.
Your brother's in the hospital. And what's wrong with him?
Mommy, you don't too much. Now banana I come make you buy. If you don't want buy, just tell me. Which one be all these questions wey they ask me. Then which kind party that you get carry like this? I beg I do papa.
Hey, all these children. What is happening in our society to real blood? This is how our society will be producing a decaying materials in the name of humans. God help us, help us in this country.
Relax, ma. As I dey on the road like this, only God knows where this my eye waiting to see you. that girl wey you dey see fit be the breadwinner of the house. The mama and the papa fit dey useless for home. They send that girl to go find wetin dem go chop.
But that one, she's just a girl now. Oh, a small girl. Girl.
That is the more reason why they go send her. If that thing wey she dey do no go bring the money, another thing go bring her now.
That is so sad, oh. God forbid, what if she is raped or even killed?
For where? That one? She fit dey carry something for that thing wey you dey see, or weapon.
Weapon?
They ready always. They know they carry last.
That small girl. Girl. Hey driver, don't you try and get out of this lane. And this our own lane is not moving. May God help us. God help us. When I beg you, drop me by that 6-star, you know that restaurant, that yellow junction. That's where you will drop me.
When you wake up in the morning, before you start your day, breakfast time is class time. For work and for play, for a great start to your day, breakfast time is class time.
Always start our day with a nourishing Kellogg's breakfast, powered with the goodness of grains and 11 essential vitamins and minerals. Kellogg's makes a great tasting breakfast for all of us.
Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
The power, the performance, concentrated power, concentrated performance, the partnership of concentrated power. Salty, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
Every day, life presents hopes, dreams, and challenges. Challenges that can become successes with a little help. Because a little help can empower you to go from despair to celebration. A little help can keep you going until the race is won. A little help can turn bundles of anxiety into a bundle of joy. And with Glow Data, you get much more than just a little help. You get the biggest data deals in town to make every day glow with small wins and big wins. Dial *777# to select your Glow Data plan.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Welcome to your restaurant for you. I think it's space that people should trust me to make it that all amazing.
Thank you so much. How I like it. Okay. Am I somebody? What's the problem?
I'm so sorry, Mama.
No. Keep your credit to yourself. Did you see me here?
Job. Auntie. But he just said sorry just
exactly.
Now. What did happen? Please, tie the matter. Buy food chop, please.
Shit.
Oh, my shit. No, don't be like you let it come. You can't be shit. You don't apologize. What else do you want? Please. No, that kind of thing for this kind of place. That's my kitchen. Oh, in the lane.
Emma Binuma, it's my fault now, mommy. I'm sorry.
Why so? You sorry because we better to keep. Oh, Mokwel, Ogbeko, stand up. Okay, that's all yummy. Stand up, no worry here. Oh, God. I wait for the girl. For missing way, you come to this place. That will show up. Anyway, I'm sure she was not hungry in the first place. It's below. Hey, what do you know? What's today's special? What do you have for us?
I'd say good afternoon. I was actually to you before he has dramas.
Really tired.
Was sure let's find a way to put blames on you. Maybe I should not wait when you get married. I should follow you to your husband's house. So when you see someone to put blame whenever you have fights.
Thank you. Just a day with a customer and you flop. What?
Big sister, what do we have for today's special? Attend to me. Go and do something, my son.
We have all the things.
Okay.
Catfish, you know, rice.
I think I'll take that catfish. Maybe a bottle of water.
People of Nigeria. How are you? How's business?
I did try.
Good to see you.
I promise I look. Yes.
How are you?
Hey. As I saw people now, I remember the incident that happened to me on my way here. You know these fuckers now on the street. So there was this very beautiful young girl who she came with a tray of banana. If you see the way she was marketing, hey, yellow banana, fire auntie, yellow auntie, if you buy my banana, you will go to heaven. Fine girl, your mouth is so sweet. But hey, how old are you? She said whether she's 15. Why are you not in school? Hey, that she needs to work, her brother is sick. Hey, yeah. What is the problem with your brother? What is your brother? This girl flipped. She switched. She practically rained insults on me. And even called the police and what? I said, is it her fault? That kind of girl, she was supposed to be in school.
He's saying we'll call police for you.
No, she said whether I be police woman. That's that question. She's from that one. Is she supposed to be on this?
Listen, when you see this line, don't tire me. Hey, even this country, everything about everybody don't tire me. For all person, they believe. When they begin, number one, no train them. Number two, no send them close. No education, nothing. Like I tell you, now on their papa house, now this wahala this time, they go talk to breadwinner. They draw amalahuna, and they go carry them till when they marry. When they marry finish, they still go to be breadwinner. So which kind of life do they live? Which kind of life do they live?
See, the worst thing is, each time they never bring money back home. Bring them on top. Seriously. It's so pathetic. We see this every day now. Things
are happening, not sharing. As a matter of fact, some women are trying to be harmless just to satisfy their husband's financial needs. And do you know the worst thing about it? You don't know, but they will say their needs. As long as the money keeps flowing.
And see, it's called interventional relationship.
You don't get it.
Mommy, calm down. I'm going to be a man one day. Raise my kids, take care of my wife, but I'll also make money for you too.
Yes, I'm not that.
Why not number one? Why must I take the last position? Are you not number one in my heart?
Yeah, Modena. This is the problem we have in our society today. Mothers have refused to take their respectful second position when their sons get married.
We are number one.
And you have forgotten that some of you fought your old mother-in-law.
No, I didn't fight my own. No, I'm number one. I didn't fight mine.
A DPO to say the truth. It's not easy. It's not easy to watch your little baby of yesterday. He will now grow and he will now leave you just like that. And it's not easy.
That's easy. You know, women are more able to follow women in our society. The DPO. Some of them have suffered pain as a result of what their fellow women have done to them. You know, they are not reported.
Whenever there's issue against women, oh, women are the first to start complaining. Yes, DPO, don't be biased.
But you know, DPO, you do have a point. Because I usually think about these things. I think about it when you talk about child labor, woman, female circumcision, woman. All these things, it is women that
woman you carry for back, not the sporting.
Now you know.
See? So we are number one. Thank you. We are number one. Nobody can push you to number two. So come here.
You are my sunlight. You are my sunlight.
Sunlight makes things easier, so you can do more.
You are my sunlight.
When you become more, you inspire others to be more too. Sunlight is here to support you as you reach for more success. Sunlight, more than you expect.
When you wake up in the morning before you start your day, breakfast time is time for work and for play, for a great start to your day. Breakfast time is
We start our day with a nourishing Kellogg's breakfast, powered with the goodness of grains and 11 essential vitamins and minerals. Kellogg's makes a great tasting breakfast for all of us.
breakfast time is
It's scary, isn't it? Putting yourself out there, ignoring the voices telling you you can't. Will you step aside, or will you go for it? After all, what's the worst that could happen? So, keep trying. Don't stop. Believe in yourself and go for it. Pilot Data, available in many variants to nourish you every step of the way.
Where's Glory? Excuse me, ma'am.
Where Glow now?
They're here.
Glow don't go village, tell all our customer abi.
Everybody pay attention. See, now Globe relocated 10x. Now him I they take tension my customers. Now they dash me 10 times the credit when I load. Or even summer me double data join.
So with 1.5 when they give on the box, so you they enjoy up to
15,000 naira credit and data. And I say I never finish you. See, I say we enjoy when I join Globe relocated 10x. When I go get 1,000 naira welcome credits, you just carry your phone, dial *777#. Really?
Glow, you don't win. Una still dey here. Hello, please, I'm looking for Glow. Please said now Glow with the 5. Now Glow with the go. Okay, so
Enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Glow Berekete 10X. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data and double data bonus on your subscription.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Number one will make the tuition very big.
I put it here now.
Because more you should.
So where can it now be?
Number one, anything. I do all this for that put in your back.
So where can it be now?
I think that wow.
My wallet. Wallet, really, I can't find it. Me read.
When last did you use it?
In the shop. No, in the taxi. Yes, in the taxi. I brought out 1,000 naira out like this to give the banana girl. But I remember I saw somebody on this side. But I thought they were just advertising their own wares too.
Madam, you have not been stolen from. This is another way they operate. They distract you one side, while on the other side, their activity is going on. And sometimes the drivers accomplish too. They know.
Oh yeah. Every day. Go back to that place. You may be lucky. Okay, let me just call me my ATM card, my PV on my ATM card, my PVC, my ID card, my ATM card.
Madam, we have to go now because I believe they'll still be there.
Hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile device to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Welcome to Africa, ancient civilization.
Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Tonight, citizens' conversation and national integrity. Nigeria has continually evolved different platforms to advance the desire to grow together as a strong, virile entity to attain nationhood. But numerous challenges in the past persistently interfered with that collective aspiration to build a new Nigeria. NTA Tuesday Live will explore all the social windows geared towards deepening national cohesion and social harmony amongst Nigerians, regardless of differences in tribe and religion. Issues up for discussion are born out of the deliberate attempt by the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations to lead a constructive national summit that enhances mutual trust, promotes good governance, and prioritizes civil norms and values. Also tonight, we'll spend a little time on the extension of the strike by ASU. Well, the universities have been shut for more than 6 months now. But before we go into the issues, let's get to see these reports from our correspondents.
In the last 197 days, ASU has been on the news, having held the university system to ransom, sequel to industrial action. Part of its reason is the non-implementation of the 2009 agreement between it and the government. While negotiations have been on, appeals have been tendered to the union from different quarters, including National Religious Council, headed by the Sultan of Sokoto and the Chief of Staff to the President, to subpedal, but to no avail. ASU has not been the only university union that has issues with the federal government. SANU, NASU and NAT have theirs with strike action too. But after negotiations, the unions yielded to pleas and suspended the strike to give room for the implementation of the agreed issues with their employer.
The entire global socio-political order is in turmoil, is in crisis. We have a nation to rescue. The experience has shown that after every elongated ASU strike, the education gets worse. It is a duty, in a call to duty for ASU and for government. We continue to negotiate, but ASU go back to class.
Apart from Congress of University Academics, CONUA, a breakaway from ASU appealing for government registration, which has not joined the strike. Others are some state-owned universities that started the struggle with ASU. Eventually, resumed academic activities.
Once the infrastructures are not used, or if they are being used, if they are not being used and being maintained, it means there is a cost running into nothingness. You cannot be servicing the hostels, you cannot be renovating classes without people entering it for 6 months. And if you have not done this, it means you are going to do them before the students return back to the classes. So that other part of effect it will have on our educational system is another thing to think about for them to return back.
If one may ask, is the university system the only sector seeking attention? Does the government have the resources to meet the ASU's demand? And even if these demands are met, when will the union end this annual ritual called strike in the nation's public universities? And these are questions begging for answers. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
So Nigerians have continued to react to the recent strike extension by ASU. Let's get to find out how they feel about this recent development.
At this point, we expect everyone to be ASU to be reasonable too. The government have done their bit. ASU should at least let them be reasonable too, so that the children could go back to class. It's not even the government will not do all at once. For them to have shown some concern, I expect ASU to be reasonable too.
ASU should be considerate. And with that too, federal government should be considerate. Two of them should negotiate and come to round table and settle the matter.
In as much as ASU is making legitimate and very cogent demand, the rigidity might be an issue. And so, reasonable lessons have been taught and learned. And I'm requesting that for once, let us give some concessions.
The ASU strike have negatively influenced the students' life and their studies.
the federal government have not only done what they are supposed to do, because 80%, yes, they've tried to some persons, but as former students know, I think they should do the 100% so students can go back to school.
I'm equally a student and I need my result to go for NYSC, and it's been delayed because of this process, and I'm not happy with them. And we are pleading to them that they should please call off the strike, sincerely.
Many questions indeed. I have in the studio here with me two gentlemen. Dr. Aminu Abdullahi Isiaku is a senior lecturer, Department of Geology, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He's also chairman of Congress of University Academics, Kano, Ahmadu Bello University. Well, thanks for joining us on NTA Tuesday Live. Quickly, Kano, as you call it, there is an association of university lecturers, right? Within ASU or outside ASU? Let's get that straight.
We are not. Thank you very much for having me on your program. We are not members of ASU.
Good. All right.
We are Kano members.
Okay. And then you lecture in universities, and
Yes.
your membership cuts across universities.
Yes, across universities.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Let me also introduce Dr. Abubakar Alkali, convener, Movement for New Nigeria, MNN. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Ciel. I'm good to see you.
All right. So straightforward to the issues. There's been an extension of the strike, 6 months by ASU, and now it's indefinite. This is going on. But going by the numerous negotiations, dialogues, meetings, and everything that has been going on all the time, how do you justify this extension now?
I think this extension cannot be justified in any way, because for us in Kano, we are not a part of the strike to start with. And even the issues that borders around the strike, as far as the government is concerned, they have said that many of these issues have been attended to. And I think the remaining contentious issue is the no work, no pay policy that the federal government just adopted in this case for the striking lecturers. So for us in Kano, we look at this as something that government should really do more, because our members are not on strike. They are entitled to their pay, and if you will unbundle all university lecturers and not call them all as members of ASU, you now realize that many Nigerian university lecturers are not in support of this strike, but they are simply being lumped into it, being dragged into it. There is nothing they can do, and their wages are being withheld. Our staff were in classrooms, in their offices, waiting for students to come. And then suddenly management had to shut down universities because the other union has called strike.
So in this case, for you, this is not a fair treatment at all. Your members are not, you are not members of ASU, and you haven't called a strike, and your members are ready to do their work. So suddenly the universities are shut and their wages withheld.
Absolutely. And if anytime federal government grant us our registration, which we have applied for since 2018 to become a registered trade union recognized by the federal government's Ministry of Labor, I can guarantee you that by the time that registration is out, we will call all our members back to classrooms, and we are sure that their wages should be paid by government. And then you can see classes beginning to resume, anytime.
All right, let's come to Dr. Abubakar Al-Ghali, convener Movement for New Nigeria. What's your thought about the extension of the strike?
Yeah, I think it's insensitive. I think it is not in the interest of nation building. I think it is not in the interest of the students. I think it is also not in the interest of the lecturers themselves. I feel that, so we are talking about the future of this country. We are actually talking about the present as well, the present and the future of this country. So this is not an issue to treat with kid gloves. That's number one. Secondly, this strike, as the presenter was saying, it has now become something of a ritual. it is a tradition. And I really think that it is time to find a lasting solution to this strike. Otherwise, it will continue to roll on. And I tell you, we're not even going to see the impact of this strike now. It is actually coming many years back. So for me, I think the solution is very simple but very difficult. This is an employer-employee relationship. And if an employee is not happy with the employment, he walks away, or the employer tells him to walk away. So for me, what the government should do at this point, I know it's very difficult, but it is within the law. The government should disengage the lecturers. I'm not actually here to end anybody's career, but I think this is a solution that should be taken.
Okay, you don't think this would be extreme?
Yeah, I don't think it's extreme, because we have already gone to the extreme. Should disengage the lecturers and give them the option to reapply, and whoever is interested on the new conditions of service of the government should put pen to paper or look elsewhere.
Two quick issues before we round off.
Yes.
Recent statements by the president of ASU, in which he described some universities that are not taking part in the strike as quacks and irrelevant, have led to a situation where many more are threatening to pull out of ASU. What's your take on that?
And actually, many have done so in the last couple of days since after that reckless statement coming out from the union leader. And it goes to the height of the recklessness that ASU has taken Nigerians to be. You cannot declare a strike and then shut down universities, allow students to go out there and become helpless, and then at the height of negotiations, when government is actually giving some concessions, lots of it, and instead of you appreciating the solidarity being done by state-owned universities, and then you now call them reckless. I think it's high time for the state universities to now realize that the truth of the matter is this is not in their best interest. Their own employers are the state governments, and most of the issues being raised on this particular strike are not quite relevant to many state-owned universities. So they have been following them like that on the solidarity, thinking that they're actually fighting for the entire system. But the truth has now begun to come out, and the true colors of the motives behind these strikes is now beginning to come out to the open. Now many state universities have just realized, oh, so is this what we are? Really? And if state universities are actually quacks, many of their graduates wouldn't have been absorbed by foreign governments, especially medical doctors, as we also have seen during the COVID. Many foreign governments, UK, US, Saudi Arabia, came to Nigeria really with their agents and recruited many of our doctors who actually graduated from public universities, including state universities. So for me, Nigerian universities are not doing really bad at all, because our products are always competing globally. Whenever we go out, we don't really do bad. But the truth is, government should fund Nigerian universities more. But the focus that Nigerian university lecturers should have is, what is the state of the welfare of a typical Nigerian university lecturer? Our salaries are very, very low. The wages are really low. So if we had focused on our welfare alone, Nigerians are now surprised to hear that the highest ranking professor actually earns less than 430,000 in a month. That is what a desk officer in a typical government agency gets. We should do more for our Nigerian university professors. So if that is actually the focus, we will have won a lot of sympathy of Nigerians.
Well, in this case, you think that federal universities that's where ASU should concentrate now that cracks are beginning to show in who should be with ASU and who should stay with the federal universities, because some of the issues being discussed now, as he has just said, may not be reflective of what is obtainable in the states.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there has to be a clear demarcation here, and you can expect this. I think state universities should have their own, direction. I really think so. In the first place, the employers and even the terms of employment are different between the federal and the state universities. As I said, you can actually expect this because, when you have a strike that is really not formidable, that is not all encompassing, that is losing its value, then you begin to have cracks. And these are the cracks that we are talking about. And I really think going forward, state universities will certainly, form their own group and, have their own. If state universities are to strike, they should strike against the state governments, not the federal government. The negotiations, ASU's negotiations with the federal government does not involve state universities. So what ASU has done was, being smart and, labeling the whole thing as solidarity, that we are on strike and you are also teachers in the West. So come on solidarity with us.
Well, in all of this, you also have private-owned universities as well, and they are not part of this, are they?
That now tells you what we are having at the moment. A big legacy of these strikes in Nigerian universities is a booming private-led, sector-led universities, big business. We didn't quite now realize that we have lost our bargaining power as public university lecturers. Ever since federal government began to liberalize the entire sector and allow for registration of private universities, state universities, you understand. So now our monopoly was completely broken since that time. Now Nigerians can earn good degrees from state universities and private universities. And I tell you what, who are actually sustaining those private universities are actually lecturers from public universities. Our members run from their main universities where they've been employed to now become adjunct lecturers, visiting lecturers in this private university, because when they set up shop, they really don't have any pool of PhDs and professors to recruit. So they jump into public universities to get them on hire. So if ASU is actually serious about proliferation of universities, they should stop patronizing those private universities. Allow them to seek for lecturers from heavens. And then let's see who is going to compete. The fact is, you still have quality education in Nigerian public universities up till this moment. And the issues that have been raised cannot be generalized. Yes, there are fields and courses that require laboratories, that require all these things. It's not all. There are other social science courses that really don't require such things. So why will you now shut down the entire system and disallow everybody to graduate because of peculiar issues?
Okay. As we wind down this short discussion, what's the next move? What's the way out of this?
For us in Konwa is, let government liberalize academic unionism in Nigerian universities, and then they will now see momentum beginning to pick up in terms of quality debates as to whether we should go on strike or not. But the fact that we have only one single union in the system, in the non-academic sector, in the Nigerian university, you have about three. You have the NAT, the SANU, and the, what do you call it? NASU. Now, but for the lecturers, it's only ASU. So once those leaders, so-called leaders, gather themselves and then declare strike, every lecturer will have to join. But if there is option provided for by government to hear the other side of contentious issue comes up, it wouldn't lead to total shutdowns of universities, because the other one union will say, look, we think we are not going to join in this strike. So we are open for business. And then you can now see the system will begin to move. But this monopoly of unionism that is being enjoyed presently by ASU, going on strike, knowing fully well that whenever they come back, their salaries will still be paid, or rather, let me say, our salaries will still be paid at the end of the day. So it means we don't really lose anything. Government wouldn't lose anything. The lecturers will not lose anything. The great victims are the students. At the end of the day, their perception, their entire perception about even the need for education is gradually reducing because of these strikes. You can see now.
Dr. Abubakar Gali, the way out.
I actually said the way out at the beginning.
Right. Disengage, ask them to. Beyond that.
Of course, but then again.
But then now, okay. So what happens? Because now it's on the side of the lecturers. What about the students?
Yeah, the students, I actually keep saying this. There is an authority, that is saddled with the responsibility of, settling these disputes. That's the industrial court, the industrial arbitration panel. So these issues are better resolved there. Even the issue of the, time lost by students, and the any form of compensations or any form of for the students on the part of the government or the lecturers.
So,
I think the industrial court should be able to give a direction along that. And to be honest, I think the unionism, because you mentioned private universities.
Right.
Actually, I know quite a few private universities where there are no unions. There are no unions. Lecturers don't have unions, and they still run. So I think there is the need, very urgent need, to look at this aspect of unionism in the universities. Government has to break that jinx. If need be, because here, as I said, this is a very serious issue. If need be, unionism should be banned in public universities. If that is going to bring peace and unhindered academic, progress in the university, government should look at ways of. Look, government is the employer and the manager of this. So, at the end of the day, government has a responsibility to, deliver on its promises to the people. And that's what the Constitution says.
You wouldn't recommend the scrapping of the unions, would you?
No, not
that
at all.
would interfere with
the solution should rather be democratization of the unions.
Right.
Let's have options.
Okay.
And the fact is, we need more funding in the system. But then the methodology and the instrumentation that has always been applied is not yielding good results.
All right. I'd like to thank you both, Dr. Aminu Abdullahi Isiaku, Senior Lecturer, Department of Geology, ABU, Zaria, and Chairman, Congress of University Academics, KUNUA, the ABU. Thank you for coming. And Dr. Abubakar Al-Ghali, Convener, Movement for New Nigeria. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Up next, issues for citizens, conversation, and national integration. But before we get into that, let's get to see this report by Haman Jabani.
Since independence, Nigeria has been experimenting with various mechanisms and different policies by successive administrations to achieve national integration and foster national unity and integration at various levels. However, it is believed that no nation can build enduring peace and guarantee adequate security without the involvement of the traditional structure and institutions that reside and interact regularly with the citizens at the grassroots. This is why Nigerian Institute of Public Relations set aside a forum that looked at leveraging traditional structures and institutions for community peace and sustainable security for national integration.
It is the traditional institution and the rulers that are nearer to the people, each community, than even the local government chairman. And that way, it is very easy for traditional to coordinate, to synergize, and effectively protect his community or her community. So, which means by the time this institution is given the support it deserves, it will be easy to have peace, it will be easy to sustain security, and it will be easy to have sustainable development.
The traditional institutions were in charge of peace and security. It was even a shame or a taboo because they had the local police, they had prisons, and they called them Gidan Sarki maybe in Hausa, up not here, when you're taken to prison, now correctional center. Nobody wanted to identify with criminals.
Nigeria, no doubt, is currently facing security challenges in various parts of the country. The professionals were of the view that community conflict and decisive tendencies, as well as religious intolerance, can be a strong reason to advocate tolerance and peaceful coexistence in the country.
Religion has everything that it takes to maintain peace and order and give security and bring people together onto what we might call national integration. The problem that sometimes we experience is not the problem of religion. It is the problem of individuals who practice religion. There are religious fanatics, and these religious fanatics can be found both in Christianity and Islam, and even in traditional religion. They are there. And if they are not brought to order, then they will continue to perpetrate problems.
Experts say there is need for identification, reorientation and promotion of core national values, development and redeployment of new communication, culture and trust in government to foster social cohesion, tolerance and integration.
In spite of all these deliberate efforts that have been put in place, why are we still halfway from being a fully united and integrated nation?
We need ethical revolution in this country. In Japan, government doesn't need to shame you. Commit suicide when you do something against what they consider ethical. But in Nigeria, we are waiting for the next news. So we are due for ethical revolution in this country.
But how can these values be propagated and integrated into the different walks of life of the nation? What are the challenges confronting the effective engagement of all institutions and structures?
We truly understand the importance of economic integration, and we use the tool. We believe that the road to integration, via sustainable economic measures and feasible infrastructure, are key pointers that will significantly increase our chances of integrating the nation as a whole.
The potential for transformation of the nation through the engrafting of these pan-Nigerian values can become the mission of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations.
If we do not reconstruct and rebuild the local governments and give hope to our own children and grandchildren, in another 5 years, nobody can sit in it hall and hold a conference. I go to my church, you go to your mosque, but prayer without work is a futility.
The NIPR hopes that the Citizen Summit will lay a new foundation for the citizens and the leadership mind shift and promote a new national communication thrust based on mutual respect, love, and non-violence. Hamad Jabani.
All right, let me at this point introduce our guests of this program. We'd like to welcome Malam Mukhtar Zubairu Siraju, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, president and chairman of Governing Council of the NIPR. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, Cyril, and good evening.
Okay. Let me also welcome to this program Dr. Ike Niliaku, also a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. He is the chairman, National Planning Committee, NIPR Citizens Summit for National Integration, Peace and Security. Thanks for coming.
Good evening, Cyril, and good evening, Nigerians. Thank you.
I'd like also to welcome to this program, or perhaps I should just say welcome home, Chief Moji Makonjola, MFR, CEO, founder, International Society of Media in Public Health. It's good to see you back home.
Thank you, brother. It's good to be here.
All right. Yeah. Now that you're on the other side, we'll see how this
We'll see how it goes. Don't grill me.
Okay. Let me also say a big welcome to Saleh Mulali, Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission. Thanks for being with us tonight. All right, and again, a big welcome to Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami, OFR, President, Nigerian Institute of Industrial Security, Lagos. It's good to see you. Right. Okay. As we do every Tuesday, we acquaint you with the procedure. Some of it, of course, will be much later during the program, and that's when you can be part of the discussion in the studio. We'll remind you of the procedure at that time. But first, let's get cracking with this matter of citizens' conversation, national integrity, and citizens' conversation and national integration. And Let's begin with the president of the NIPR. Last week in Abuja, here, the federal capital, the NIPR organized a summit, and you called it Citizens Summit. Tell us about that. What's the concept behind that, and why is it necessary to hold that?
Thank you, Cyril. Our institute is the body charged by law to regulate the practice and profession of public relations in Nigeria. And one of the core mandates of the public relations profession is actually relationship building and relationship mending. Last year, we sat down when we were re-elected to a second term. We sat down and took a look at the Nigerian landscape and realized that our relationships were actually descending into the abyss. We used to have very, very beautiful relationships amongst the component units of the country, between us as individuals. We had such beautiful relationships that at some point you couldn't tell who from the other. We were not asking each other mundane questions about our ethnicities, our religious backgrounds, our geographical accidents, if you want to call them. But all those things seem to be history. And we felt, well, we owed the society a duty to intervene as perception managers, as relationship minders, and as people in charge of communication. We realized that the collapse, so to speak, of our relationships largely came about because of either the collapse of communication or the existence of a communication that is of the violent variant. So realizing that Nigeria had relationships had seen better days, we felt it was not an irredeemable situation. Since it had happened before, we could reenact it, and that was why we decided to now provide a neutral platform for Nigerians to come together, discuss with one another, rather than what we were doing before, sitting at our own comfort zones and hurling invectives at one another, playing holier than thou, thinking that every other person was the devil and we were the saints. I mean, we felt we needed to come together, take a look at the Nigerian problems, make our own confessions, accept the fact that we are all in it, if it is good, if it is bad. And since we all seem to know what the problems are, we made the Citizens Summit to be a solution-driven initiative. We didn't come to discuss problems, we came to discuss solutions. And one thing that summit last week achieved that I don't want us to lose sight of was the fact that for the first time in a very long while, we were able to bring Nigerians from all hues, from all crannies, from all persuasions. They agreed to come together, sit under the same roof and discussed issues. And one thing that we came out with was the fact that there was not a single voice of dissent, that we all loved this country. We were all not happy about the situation that the country is in, and we believe that the country can be better.
All right, let's come to Dr. Niliaku. Now, you chaired the committee that set up this, but Nigeria has never been short of discussions, dialogues, and such meetings. beautiful on paper, beautiful on the discussions, and the theme is always saying, oh, this country needs to stay together. Relationships should be built. But that's where it ends. How isn't this going to end that way?
Thank you, Cyril. First of all, like the president said, we didn't just wake up to start doing this. We are professionals. And that comes with a lot of innovations and creativity. When we decided to go into this project, we had to first undertake a study. And the study produced three key things, essentially, that gave us direction on what to do. But because we are relationship managers and relationship builders, we understood very clearly that for this to be done, we needed to engage the stakeholders, being the heart of public relations practice. Without stakeholders, you cannot go far. We harvested the views of the stakeholders and we determined clearly that this is what Nigerians wanted. But beyond that, we needed something different. Therefore, we went for a situation where after the summit, what would be the post-summit activities? We answered that question from design. While conceiving the concept, we had to answer the question, how will this pan out? That helped us in shaping the nature of the summit, beginning with zonal dialogue series we had in the 6 geopolitical zones. And that helped us to begin to build the interest that was generated. And then we had the 7th zone, that's the diaspora. From there, we were able to aggregate about 17 critical issues that formed the basis of the real summit that held in Abuja last week. Beyond that, we also discovered that it's not enough to have discussed all this. Interest has been generated. Attention has been drawn. What next? We decided that there has to be a robust strategy to draft the report of this summit. So we had a team of best brains in the industry and in relationship management, those that understand very, very well the nature of our society, to craft a report. And we were not in a hurry. We said for 3 months, go and work on this. It's led by Professor Andrew Haruna, former Vice-Chancellor of Federal University, Gashua, with other prominent people who understand the issue. So that report is being prepared. And that report will have the blessing of everybody because they will only do a draft. This draft will go round the same cycle, the same cycle rather, that we went through. At the end of the day, we will now collect additional information and then we'll come out with a report. Secondly, the NIPR has given itself a 10-year period, timeline, to execute the outcome of the report. So it's not something we just discuss and go home. It's a task that we have given to ourselves. And our model is what happened in Malaysia and what happened in Singapore in the 70s and in the 80s. So we have a template that we are working with. And then finally, at the end of it all, we intend to have citizens' charter focusing on national integration, reconciliation, and development. We believe that the citizens should own the process of reinventing Nigeria. So that for once, let us begin to ask ourselves, what is it that I need to do for my country?
Thank you. Now let's come to the media veteran, journalist and health reporter of many a standing. How do you key into this as Society of Media and Public Health?
The thing about the whole summit, the build up to it, the need for it, calls for a healthy existence. We cannot sit here as people and start to think of a rebirth, a new Nigeria, without the health perspective in it. But before I go to that, I just want to bring us back a little history that has resonated in me. Growing up in Zaria in the 60s during the disturbances then, northern disturbances, we lived at the School of Pharmacy. And I tell you, as I speak to you, my heart still bleeds. That was the first time in my life I saw corpses. That was the first time in my life that I saw a mass grave of Nigerians. It was also the first time that I began to see what integration is all about. Because it didn't matter those bodies that were in that mass grave. What mattered was, having a balance of people integrating as one. And that, to me, up until now, gives me the spirit of the can-do of the Nigeria of our choice. It didn't matter whether an Igbo, Hausa or Yoruba person was there. What mattered was a human being was there. And for me, each time I went to Zaria, it was a reflection. I don't see the grave anymore, but I still see I was young. It's still there. And these are things that we need to speak about. We don't want to go back to those dark days that still affects me as a grandmother. We want the Nigeria that you and I grew up in Minna, where it didn't matter where you came from, where your religion didn't matter. I spoke Hausa, for example, before I spoke Yoruba. That's the healthy side of it, the psychological part of it that we need to bring back. That yesterday, the Nigeria you and I knew, the Nigeria that made me who I am, that gave me the pride of being a woman, of being a mother. But beyond that, we lost it. How did we get to where we are? Those are the questions. And in the last 10 years that I've been on bridges, this is every episode reflects to, I want back my Nigeria. And that's the drive for me.
Okay. Thank you so much. You want back that Nigeria. Saleh Malali, Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission. Is it possible?
Very much, Cyril, and good evening, Nigerians. I would want to pick the discuss like Moji just said, a Nigeria of our choice, a Nigeria that all Nigerians will be proud of. Is it a possibility? Certainly it is. Societies, communities, and nations have faced various challenges at different stages of their development. It doesn't matter what type of challenges, it doesn't matter what are the issues. What is most important is that the people of the times, the citizens of those societies, what did they do with those challenges? How have they responded to those issues? How have they responded to those challenges? And how did they convert those issues, challenges into opportunities? Opportunities for integration, opportunities for development, opportunities for reshaping and reorganizing their societies and nations. I believe as citizens of this country, we have the capacity, we have the knowledge, we have the wisdom, and we have the broad-mindedness, the previous experiences, a long history of coexistence, a very rich cultural heritage, very rich religious values that will all help this country to shape itself back. What is needed, like this institute is trying to do, this society, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is trying to do, is how do we galvanize the citizens of Nigeria? How do we get everybody on board? How do we get our youths refocused, resensitized, and remobilized to create a Nigeria of our choice? We are what we make ourselves to become. Nobody will make our nation but ourselves. So I do believe strongly that this is possible.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll just go straight to Raji Isa Uzi Salami. And yes, there was a country that enjoyed some period of integration and very good relationship, but somewhere along the line it was lost. And the younger generation keep asking the same question. How did it happen? If the older generation at that time had good legacies and had imbibed or instilled these legacies into the younger generation, how could it have gone so horribly wrong?
Viewers, the challenge, the national challenge that is staring us in the face has to do with our rapid growth or development. Some of these things that we have achieved took some other countries much longer period to achieve. So because we were in a hurry, we were in a haste. For instance, in some countries where they had war, the war experience that we have had, it took them much longer to get integrated, but we were always on the fast lane. And maybe because of this, we left certain important elements out without realizing. For instance, when I was in the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, I joined the Students' Union, and I didn't find it attractive. For instance, even though I was interested in becoming the president of the Students' Union, I never found it attractive to look for people from my town or people from my province. That time we didn't have states to come and back me. Instead, I looked for people of like ideas, and they promoted my candidature. And by the grace of Almighty God, I became the president of the Students' Union. And when I became the president of the Students' Union, I'm saying this because the example of leadership is very, very important to all that we're talking about. As president of the Ahmadu Bello University Students' Union, I made sure that those who contested against me, I brought them on board by appointing them to go and be our representative in the National Union of Nigerian Students, called NONS that time. It is now called NANS. And these little gestures had tremendous influence in unifying the students' union government that I headed. And throughout my time, late Professor Mahmoud Tukur was the director of the Institute of Administration in Congo then. And the students' unionism then was so heavy, and both the administration in the university and the students' unions, we were pursuing the same goal. And I was being consulted on whatever it is that they were doing. I still remember that time, the British Deputy High Commissioner in Kaduna wanted to see me, and he wrote a letter to the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, which was minuted to the registrar, that he was going to be in Zaria for a weekend, and he was going to be in somebody's house, one of the Europeans, and that we should come and see him there. And I instantly replied him that I'm not a subject of the British Empire, and he cannot just summon me like that. He should, if he wants to see me, he should seek appointment, and then I will tell him when I'm available and where I will be available. And to my surprise, I thought that with that kind of reply, he was going to... I'm just saying this to tell you how Nigerian we were then in spirit. And the man replied me and said, okay, when could I see him? And I said, okay, I will be available. I think I said at 2 p.m. And then I gave my hostel address. And I was thinking he was going to call on my bluff, but he came. And he spent almost 1.5 hours with me in my room in the students' something. And we discussed a lot of issues and so on and so forth. So that kind of pride that we had, we are so sure that our country will not let us down. That time, you know, it was very, very pervasive in everything we did. I remember when Malam Mamandara was editor of the New Nigerian, which was very, very influential. He was arrested and detained. We didn't know who he was, but because we read his columns and his editorial and the Candido column, and we were just admiring some of the things he was saying, the ideals that he was preaching. We went on the street and demonstrated that if he was not released, you know, heavens was going to fall and so on and so forth. And we were, you know, demonstrating against the Gowon regime. Even when we were doing that, we made sure that no property, no public property was destroyed. We made sure it was peaceful. So much so that when we got to Kaduna, the acting governor at that time happened to be General Yakubu Danjuma, the brigade commander then, and he was also acting because Abakari, I think, was on leave. So we went and presented our letters to him. And he was so impressed with our conduct that he brought out military vehicles to take us back to Zaria. And, you know, there was responsibility in quite a lot of things we did then. But nowadays, unionism has become so aggressive. And, of course, two wrongs cannot make a right. I'm not trying to say one side is wrong or one side is right, but two wrongs cannot make a right. And I think we should always have a constructive approach to whatever we are doing. That's the only way that the country will move forward. And the present agitation along tribal lines is very, very embarrassing to some of us, because the country that we subscribe to, I mean, people like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe sacrificed so much for national unity. People like Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, people like Sir Ahmadu Bello, people like S.L. Akintola, people like Michael Opara. These people saw Nigeria as one entity, even though everybody had their own vested interest that they were fighting for. But all that was within a general understanding of a united Nigeria. And the expatriates that some of us blame the colonial fathers, I think they all did their best within what was available then. Of course, their interests as colonialists came here and there, but it was not as conspicuous. I'm saying all this because today, because of a certain selfish drive, because we're looking for shortcuts, we exploit these sentiments like religion.
Thank you so much, Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami, for taking us down memory lane and recalling the experience of so many years ago. Even though, as you yourself have just admitted, it might be extremely difficult to replicate that experience today. I don't think any military commander would put you in any vehicle to take you back home. But beyond the discussions in the studio, we also have a number of reports. Let's take this first one by Dauda Mohammed from Kaduna.
The unrelenting effort to inculcate patriotism among Nigerians through different means by the nation heroes past and current leaders have been a beacon of hope for the country to stand as a strong and vibrant nation despite challenges strengthening its unity.
We always want people to come and join hands together so that we should build a great Nigeria. Forget about the issue of religions or ethnicism or sectionalism, whatever. At least this country is one. At least God wants us to be one. That's why we are still one.
The premier of northern Nigeria, we know that we all grew up in a situation whereby he did not discriminate. And they were politicians, but they were politicians that knew what it meant to keep the unity amongst us.
The promotion of national interest has been the most potent that downplayed divisive tendencies of some elements considered surrogate of vested interest.
put Nigeria first before any other thing. Once, if yes, that's you be able to do that, I think the problem is solved actually.
Values such as truth and honesty, such as development, such as accountability and good name should always be our guiding principles and should always be the guiding principles of all politicians who are vying for political offices, because at the end of it all, the aim is to build, not to destroy.
Multicultural and multi-ethnic as well as multi-religious nature of the country makes it a vulnerable tool in the hand of manipulators, but high sense of patriotism among Nigerians deters such manipulative tendency to work.
Let's forget about religion, forget about ethnicity, forget about where that person comes from, forget about what religion he is. I mean, our two great religions are very much alike.
Despite differences among citizens of this country, their faith in Nigeria's project will continue to resonate.
All right, our next report comes from Port Harcourt, and it's by Robinson Derataide.
Nigeria is a society with multi-ethnic, religious, and cultural diversities, which is in their need of a common national identity. Since independence, some policies and decisions of government are said to have been influenced and given ethnic interpretation, giving rise to distrust, sentiments, and agitations. Respondents believe that what binds Nigerians is stronger than tribal and religious differences, while the different cultures and values should be geared towards national benefits.
We didn't become Nigeria through national integration. We became Nigeria by the action of the British government. And the British did not allow us to evolve to nationhood based on our separate identities. There's nothing we can do now other than to ensure that we have one language. That's what makes for proper national integration.
So when we talk of national integration, we are talking of that oneness, irrespective of any linguistic difference.
Tribe, anywhere you find yourself, it's supposed to be your hometown. When somebody lives in a place for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, you still call him a stranger. If we want Nigeria to be integrated, these two components should be deleted from our constitution.
They noted that the requirement for state of origin and religion, while filling forms, is instilling sectional consciousness in Nigerians who ought to see themselves as one.
States are divided along ethnocentric lines. If it is possible, go back to the regional we had in the 60s, that would be better for us. If we don't want to go back to the regionals, let us expunge local government in our constitution or any form we are filling. Let us expunge state of origin, remove that. Once that is removed, I think Nigerians were good to go.
Politicians are also advised to avoid campaigns of sentiments that could affect national unity. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Derataide.
At this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, there will be more on national integration, and at that time, the phone lines will be open. Hopefully, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. So stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
The Nigerian Electronic Media Content Exhibition and Awards, NMCA 2022, is born. It is the biggest gathering of TV, radio, online, film, and all forms of electronic media content in one place to celebrate and do the business of content for 3 days in August 29, 30, and 31, 2022 at Radisson Blue Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. Register now to attend at www.nemcia.net. NMCA is brought to you by MCON in collaboration with BMA, collocating with NIFS, proudly supported by media support by NMCA 2022. One place, 3 days. Content is king, always. The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, at this time, we'll open the phone lines. You can call in, and we always say this every Tuesday. If you call in and your call gets through to the studio, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And we also encourage you to go straight to the point. Keep it short. Don't bother too much about the greetings. Just a mere hello will do. This so others can get on the line. So we're back talking about national integration, and let me come back to the president of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. You've been around the 6 geopolitical zones. What are the feelers you're getting from those places? Because sometimes we hear heated arguments, and they tell you, look, we don't want to be part of this union that was foisted on us by the British. They didn't seek our opinions before what they did in 1914. But what do you get from people, especially at the grassroots?
Well, interestingly, like I said, we went around all the 6 geopolitical zones. We started with Kano, then we went to Port Harcourt for South Kano, Northwest. From Port Harcourt, we came to Jos, North Central. From Jos, we went to Gombe, Northeast. Then we went to Enugu, Southeast. We did Lagos, Southwest. Then we did the 7th zone, the diaspora, sometime in June. And interestingly, we were pleasantly surprised because there was not a single zone we went to that people said they were not interested in remaining Nigerians. In fact, we went prepared for such eventualities. Okay, if people said this, how are we going to manage it? We were pleasantly surprised. There is a lot of frustration. There is a lot of anger. But the anger is at the fact that this country has no business being where it is today.
Could this be put at the doorstep of poor leadership?
I want to believe so. I think leadership has a very, very fundamental blame to shoulder in this thing. Across board, not any particular leadership. Leadership across board has not...
It's failed.
Sometimes. Well, it has. We have to say it as it is. But the interesting thing, one more interesting thing, Cyril, is that in the course of our consultations, especially with the socio-cultural leaders, because we touched base with religious, socio-cultural, Afenifere, Ohanese, Arewa Consultative Forum, Pandef, Middle Belt Forum. There was none that we didn't actually touch base with. And we were warmly received wherever we went. In fact, some were even asking, you guys, where have you been all this while? We've always needed this. It's good. We always told them it's better late than never. And some of them that you hear in the media being reported as spewing venom here and there, talking, were even the ones that were telling us, no, you can't be more Nigerian than I am. I think the issue, apart from, it is a function of leadership. Leadership has over time abdicated the responsibility of being deliberate and proactive about bringing Nigerians together. And our political leaders generally have not helped matters. That is the way we look at it, because when they come together and the going is good, you never get to hear anything from them. It is only when they get the shorter end of the stick at the political table, that is when you hear, I'm a Muslim and she's a Christian and that other one. But when the going is good, you don't get to hear that. And one other thing, when I told, I think it was in Enugu that they actually clamor for an Igbo president came up. And I spoke very much from the younger elements. Okay. And I now spoke to them, told them what they didn't know. That in those days, when even myself, I was not born, I think, I told them that history has told us that there was a certain Malam Altine that contested for a mayoralty election in Enugu and defeated Igbos. Okay. Igbos, you see, and I told them that as recently as 1999 in Kaduna State, where I come from, Kaduna South local government voted for an Igbo man to represent a constituency in the Kaduna State House of Assembly. So it is not all bad. But Cyril, before I stop, I think parents too. Number one, governments have abdicated their responsibility in being proactive. Those processes of integration that were ingrained in our system while we were growing up, like building schools and bringing pupils and students from across board, has been stopped. Chances are that wherever public school you go to in any community now, every pupil or student that you see there is likely to be from that community, so they don't know anywhere else apart from their communities. And I connect that with, let me give you a short story in 30 seconds.
Okay, well, we'll come to it. We have a caller who's been on the line for quite some time. Peace calling in from Taraba. Hello, please go ahead with your question or comment. Is Peace there? Turn down the volume of your TV, Peace, and go ahead. Right, go ahead. Okay, maybe we would have to ask you to call back later. Yes, you were just going to make a point about...
When I talk about parentage, you know, some of these things begin from the family unit, because that is where you begin to be molded into who you are. Our parents too had played very positive roles in the way they molded us, in the way they made us see and relate with one another as brothers and sisters, irrespective of those divides over which we have no control. I remember when I finished my primary school, you know, in those days, if you did so well, you were likely to get admission into multiple schools. I was supposed to have I got admission to go to Federal Government College, Kano, Borno College, which was the main thing in the north then, and then Kagoro Secondary School in Kaduna State. My father, who was an Islamic scholar, we all thought it was going to be either Zaria or Kano. And I was just 12, 13. He said I was going to Kagoro. And my mother said he was crazy. How could you take him to somewhere where he didn't know nobody, blah, 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 blah. The roof was going to cave in. But my father called me and told me, look, go there. You know why? If you go to Zaria or Kano, you're going to continue to relate with the same types of people that you know. You're going to continue to speak Hausa. You just go to Kagoro. I want you to go and, you know, there are people there, you know. Kagoro is in southern Kaduna, which is predominantly Christian. Go and make friends there, because there are people there that do not worship like you, they do not speak like you, they have other idiosyncrasies that were different from yours, but God loves them too. This was what he told me. I still remember that. And when I went there, I've continued to be grateful to my father for that decision that he took for me, because the relationships that I have developed from Kagoro have subsisted till today. And one of the things that have remained greenest in my memory was the fact that I was punished by a Christian prefect in Kagoro. You know what? For what? For failure to go to mosque.
Oh, well.
I mean, this was the Nigeria that we grew up into. Beautiful. I mean, when you said it's going to be difficult to reenact that, I want to disagree. I think since it happened before, we are not inventing the wheel.
Yeah.
It can be done, but we need to play our roles. Governments have to play their roles. Those institutions, those processes that were put in our system that were supposed to, generate integration must be returned, and parents too must play a role in letting their children respect whoever they come across. Because I always tell people, whatever human being you see, that human being is endowed by God in a way that you are not.
Well, back to the phones. We have Ada calling in from Jos, one of the regulars of this program. Hello, Ada, go ahead.
Hello. Ada calling in from Jos. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, let's hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. Patriotism is nurtured by making healthy policies. But in Nigeria, it's on the pages of newspapers, electronic media, and what have you, and in jingles. For instance, the education sector, the discrimination in cut-off marks into UC schools, cut-off marks in admission in favor of certain sections of the country under the guise of educational backward areas, discriminating school fees in state-owned tertiary institutions nationwide, where non-indigents are made to pay twice or more as school fees compared to the indigents, and nobody seems to see anything wrong with that. I'm not quarreling about the ratio as regards the number to be admitted. It can be 70% for indigents, while 30% for non-indigents, or 60-40. Once admission is given, they should all pay the same fees. Only foreign students should be made to pay higher fees. State of origin should be replaced with state of residence. You see, these are the things. So you don't keep on saying you want us to be one Nigeria, and then you have policies that make it very difficult for us to, be thinking along that line. America is great today because they have a large heart to accommodate people of diverse culture, religion, etc. Well, I'm still optimistic that with good governance, we'll get it right sometime someday. So I just pray in the next incoming 2023 that we'll have, a bridge builder as a president. God bless Nigeria. Let's not give out this country. It shall be well.
Thank you very much, Ada from Jos. Well, Dr. Neliaku, this is something that's been discussed across the length and breadth of this country. The question of indigenship, or whatever they call it. Forms you feel you're required to state your state of origin, local government, tribe, religion. And it all goes, and sometimes you find that these forms go as far as even hospital forms request to know your tribe, and you wonder what seeing a doctor has to do with your tribe.
Absolutely.
And so lots of Nigerians are saying, look, when you have such divisions, how can you build an integrated society? Because you, at every turn, you're being reminded you're not from one particular part or you're from another part. And as long as certain indigenes get advantages over others who are resident in that same place, isn't this going to be a tough call?
Well, I'd like to tell you a short story. Since you talked about doctors and why we have to fill forms, talking about, where we are coming from. I once asked a doctor, why do I have to fill my state of origin in Abuja for you to attend to me? He said, no, it has nothing to do with ethnicity. He said, certain sicknesses are prevalent in some areas. So, as a medical doctor, you are trained to look at symptoms from the perspective of history, geography, and sociocultural issues. I said, really? I didn't know that.
And when you have a global pandemic, so where do you place that?
So you see, there are some of these things, but sincerely, Nigeria is a nation in transition. And don't forget, we were not programmed to be a nation. I keep saying this. We were not programmed originally to be a nation. We were programmed to be a country. And unfortunately for us, when we became a country, we ought to have worked towards becoming a nation. And instead of working towards becoming a nation, we dropped the ball. So because we are not yet a nation, we are more interested in addressing where we come from instead of the nation. African polling system did a study in 2019, 2020, and 2021. You know what? 82% of Nigerians prefer dual citizenship or dual identity, if you have to call it dual identity. They prefer to be a Nigerian and a Yoruba man, a Nigerian and an Igbo man, a Nigerian and a Hausa lady, a Nigerian. Nobody will tell you, I am a Nigerian. Just a few. Primarily, what you get is, I am Igbo, who is a Nigerian. In Rwanda, they had to give that up and said, you are no longer a Tutsi or a Hutu. You are primarily a Rwandan. And wherever you find yourself is where you live, and you take advantage of those things. Cyril, when we begin to be serious about nationhood, such matters will be dealt with. You know why? One of the things that lead to people agitating for their ethnic identity and representation is, again, that challenge of trust. Once trust has become a huge deficit, the tendency is that everybody becomes protective of his personal interest, his group interest, his ethnic interest, and so on. Because we have not built our nation on the basis of equity, fairness, and justice. All right. So by the time we land, you will see that things like that would no longer become issues.
We have calling in from Abuja, Abacha. Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Abata. First of all, I want to greet my mother, Mujima Singh Maji Kunjola. There's a time that she went to Taraba doing Goodluck Jonathan, and she gave me a work to be one of the members of the interest. She said, this guy is a Muslim. He said, there's nothing like being a Muslim. She just liked an answer based on the job that she kept. That's from there, since to the Goodluck Jonathan regime. I have to tell the Nigerians, this woman is a good woman, she's a good mother, and I continue to pray for her. Secondly, I'm from Taraba State. What I'm saying, we are seriously divided in Taraba State. And we need people like you to come and do something so that Tarabians will come together, because we are seriously divided based on religion, tribal, this and that. That's why Taraba State is not moving forward at all. One of the states that is not moving forward in Nigeria. I wish you all the best, and may God continue to lead us. May God continue to protect us, so that Nigeria will become one as we know. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much, Abacha, calling in from Abuja. Let's go over to, yes, and while we're on the subject of integration, there's another aspect of it, and the founding fathers, it's been said that perhaps that bit of unity they forged was because of the circumstances, and that this probably what we face today is as a result of scarce resources, the struggle for very limited resources, and therefore people have to go back into their cocoons and say, look, if there isn't enough for us, then we'd better struggle to get the best that we can for each other. How do you respond to that?
First, I'd like to say that our forefathers, their thought about Nigeria was not premised on resources in terms of sharing or getting. There was a cohesion, And I got this, firsthand when we celebrated Nigeria at 100. I was mandated to speak to 100 notable Nigerians. And the only question I asked is, are you proud to be a Nigerian? Would you remain a Nigerian? And the answers were spontaneous. They didn't think about it. So, of course, yes. This is Nigeria. This is where I want to be. And said to me about all the gains that we have as a people, in spite of our diversity, that, should propel us to be greater than where we are today. So, our forefathers, I'm sure, had that too. And that's what propelled, and that's what brought about Nigeria and the national anthem, which I always like to go back to, our former national anthem. But seriously, I think as a people, growing up, we lost some of this. When we were in school, you remember, it didn't matter where you came from. Whether you were in a mission school or in a public school or in a private school, what matters was going for that education, and you came back home, excelled, parents were proud. If a child was out there, was misbehaving, they said it's the child of the society. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They said, for a woman, you are just a vehicle to carry the baby to grow. When the baby comes, it becomes public property in terms of, looking after this child. But we lost it when we lost the sense of equity, when we lost the sense of discipline, when we started looking through who you are, when we started thinking of class. It didn't matter whether, wherever you are, you had your own pair to grow with. But we became, suddenly, I don't know, maybe the oil did this to us or whatever it did to us. Suddenly it's about what you do. People see you now. You're not seen from the perspective of integrity, of strength, of purpose. You're seen from the perspective of what car you ride, what things you do. So, a lot of things had gone wrong that we can right.
Hopefully.
And yes, I'm very optimistic about it. Right. It's a determination, and that's why, please, Cyril, and that's why I want to say to us today that as parents, we need to do much more than we're doing. I cannot listen. It breaks my heart when a young child comes and, where are you from? You hear that now. So, if the parents are not exhibiting these traits, the children won't take after it. So if we are talking of true integration, we are talking of unity, we are talking of peace, we should be looking at equity, we should be looking at the fundamentals in terms of home bringing up. Parents, mothers, we sure do have a lot to do.
We have to
deliberate, that's it.
Very deliberate. That's what
let us hear from Umar Anachi, who's calling in from Birnin Kebbi. That's another regular on this program. Umar Anachi, let's hear you.
Yes, I'm Umar Anachi calling from Birnin Kebbi. You see, national integration. First of all, God in His infinite mercy created us to become Muslim and Christian. God does not make a mistake. He created us Muslim and Christian for us to live and to respect one another. If God wants to create us all Muslims, He will have done it. If He wants to make us all Christians, He will have done it. So in His wisdom, He created us different tribes, different religions, and different ethnic groups. There is one of my colleagues who is a Yoruba. She is from Osun State. She lives in Kebbi. Her father died in Kebbi. Her mother died in Kebbi. But she born her children. When she took them to the Osun State, they will say Omo Hausa. When she took the children to Kebbi State, they will say they are not indigenous. So I pity those children that lost identity. They are not there, not here. What is it is too bad for our country to know those children, they lost their identity as it is present. So it is good to punish or to waive this issue of indigenship anywhere you are a Nigerian. May God continue to bless our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Umar Anachi. And let's go over to Salim Omali and put this, what you listened to Umar Anachi and what he just said, the question of indigenship. And I also want you to factor in the question of religion. How much has religion influenced what Nigeria is going through now? It's said that Nigerians are very religious people, but I always ask this question, can we equate being religious and being godly?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I think there has been a lot of discourse on these issues at different forums and throughout the country. First of all, fundamentally, I think we are taking certain things too far, beyond what they are intended to or they were intended for. And there is a lot of misinformation, there is a lot of rumor, there is a lot of speculations, and there are a lot of, sentiments that drive many of the discourse that we see, for example, in many of the issues that have been raised. Religion is never a factor of division in any society or in any community. Ethnicity is never a factor of division. At the national level, if we come to national politics, for example, you begin to talk of Yoruba, you begin to talk of Igbo, you begin to talk of North, South, all these dominations. But come to any specific local enclave, like just a caller from Taraba says, Taraba is the North. So, again, why should you talk about differences? Why should somebody come to Taraba State and say he is discriminating against one person or the other? Because they are all Northerners, for example. So why can't they just be the same? The same thing if you go to the Southwest or the Southeast or the South-South, you still find these micro differences at those levels. So it means we are taking this differentiation, we are taking these issues of citizenship, indigenship, beyond what the founding fathers of the nation earlier envisaged. I think at the beginning, it was just to address that fear of domination by one section of the country against the other that brought in that idea of the principle, of the character, the Federal Character Commission, to ensure that in everywhere all segments of the Nigerian society are represented. And I think that was what brought about some of this indigenship, citizenship, local government, indigene, and things like that. It was to ensure a fair and equitable representation across the country. But after that, we missed out, we took it beyond what it was intended for. And again, like the president said, there is a lot of anger wherever you go to. And many of this anger are driven by misconceptions, by misperceptions. If you go to, for example, the Southwest, they will say all the resources of the country is in the North. If you go to the South-South, they will say all the resources of the country is in the Southwest and in the North. If you go to the South-East, they will say the North and the Southwest have garnered everything. If you come to the North, they will say that it is the South-West and the South-East, the southern parts of the country has everything, and we have nothing. So many of this is driven by misconceptions. And I think fundamentally, our mainstream media, our professional bodies, our religious institutions, and the leadership that everybody keeps blaming must come on board. These are fundamental issues. The kind of information we relay to the Nigerian public, the type of upbringing we are giving to our parents, like people have said, the family institutions, our institutions of learning, that's the schools, and the institutions that mold the character and values of the society, mainly our community institutions and our religious spaces, have not done this country justice, have not done fairness in terms of orienting our young populations to recognize diversity, to recognize the relevance of diversity in development, to understand even the pluralism of the nation and how pluralism will help us cement and unite and give us greater level of opportunities for equitable development. I think these are some of the critical missing things. So coming back to what you said, these things are feasible. It is just a matter of taking deliberate action. I'm happy when the president, when Dr. Igweze said they are working on a 10-year program. I'm happy he's not talking of 2 years, he's not talking of 3 years. We have not had a very long-term strategic framework for transforming Nigeria. If we are going to put this in place and we pursue it over time, and we bring in our professionals, we bring in the political leaders, we bring in the religious institutions, we bring in our traditional institutions who are the custodians of our culture and value, and we integrate it with the school system to build a new narrative for the country, a new ideal, a new value system. I keep saying that as a country, as Nigeria, we have failed to develop a common goal for ourselves as a people of this country. For that reason, everybody begin to develop a goal for himself, because there is no Nigerian goal for me to pursue. So I have to sit down and begin to think of my own personal goal, or the goal of my village, or the goal of my community. And we keep, fundamentally, I need to say this, I always feel saddened when I see people of great knowledge, of great wisdom, people that have attained scholarship, that are in high-level leadership positions, going back to speak on, as if they are constituents of their own immediate villages or communities. Like somebody once said it, it is not, there is no university in any village, there is no higher institution or a universal value in any village. We have to come out and have a common Nigeria, a common global village. So fundamentally, let us set a value system for Nigeria, what we want our country and our nation to be, and when we use that as a basis for reorienting our citizens and engaging our young people, so that in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we have Nigerians and no longer people identifying with various ethnic identities.
Let's take this final report from Enugu by Chika Ugu.
Nigeria, no doubt, is endowed with abundant human and natural resources. Its over 160 million population is divided along ethnic and religious lines, which necessitated the adoption and implementation of the Federal Character Principles in 1979. The whole idea is to ensure equity and true representation of its people and avoid dominance of a particular ethnic group over another. However, efforts towards achieving social integration and national development, key players say, has over the years been hampered by poor education, religious bigotry, and nepotism.
Ethnicity, of course, has been a very major issue in Nigeria polity, because you find out that even from the First Republic, Nigerians voted along tribal lines, and I think that is the bane of Nigerians' division.
This has continued to take its toll on virtually all spheres of the nation's economic and social lives, forcing untold hardship on people, poverty, and underdevelopment.
The leaders, the imams, the priests, the bishops, what have you, they should be able to tell their words, their followers, their congregation, the truth.
Very incompetent people have hidden behind religion and behind ethnicity to create problems in Nigeria.
Some school of thought are of the opinion that one sure way to emancipate from what they describe as mental slavery is through the promotion of values with respect to the sanctity of lives and the enactment of laws to engender justice and tolerance. The importance of youths in ensuring harmony and national integration cannot be overemphasized, as the future of any nation depends on them.
The youths are not born to be placard carriers. The youths are not made or not been trained to be touts and be carrying ballot buses. Other youths in other climes are innovative, developing themselves, human capacity management, and even in electoral positions. A time for them to train so that they can learn and also help the society.
There is also a concerted call on leaders of religious organizations and traditional rulers to place national interests far above self and sectional interests. In Enugu, Chika Ugu.
Okay, let's go over to Alhaji Isa Uzi Salami. And a key part of whatever efforts have been harnessed for integration would be the youth. And we say today that we have an army of youths who are angry and disappointed, disenchanted with the system. They think that the older generation have failed them. How do you begin to bring them back? And also, I think it was Salim Omale who talked about how this all started, the fear of domination. But that fear is still palpable today. Nothing is going away, not anytime soon. So how can you take advantage of the growing youth who might have a different perception and try to mold them differently, and of course dispel this fear of domination?
The fear of domination has been tackled by the constitutional provision for Federal Character Commission. How much are we adhering to the guidelines or to the principle of federal character? And then there's a lot of frustration because youths have graduated from the university, done the compulsory national youth corps, and are finding it very, very difficult to get job. And some of them have discovered that it is not because an interview or an aptitude test has been conducted and they did not succeed. It is something else that is the cause of their not succeeding. So these are the real frustrations that we must, the issue of corruption is something that we need to look at, because if we know the kind of setback that corruption is causing us in this country, we'll pay much more attention to it than the lip service we seem to be putting on it. Then also, I talked of leadership before, and some other colleagues also emphasized on it. Leadership is so important, and a leader must be exemplary. He must be upright, and he must be trusted. Once these qualities are found, you find out that Nigerians are the easiest people to rule, and suddenly people will just be cooperative and become positive. But the leader must motivate, and the leader must show good example. If we go back to the Sardauna days, there was no feeling of domination, whether you were a Christian or a Muslim. Sardauna was from Sokoto. The next person to him was Aliu Makaman Bida, who is from North Central, for instance. And he had Christian ministers. Somebody from my town, like George Uruo Hikere, was Minister of Works and Minister of Health. These are very, very key ministers. In fact, there was a time he even acted for the premier when he went on pilgrimage. So if we see leaders showing these kind of examples, it will help us a lot in getting national unity. It is the content of leadership that we must be very sincere about.
Of NIPR, the summit has taken place. There's a strategy for post-summit activities. Beyond that, what happens? Where does the government come in? Where do the citizens come in? Who drives the process?
Well, we call it Citizens Summit. So it is going to continue to be driven by the citizens. We are not government. We cannot implement. Okay. But we have a strategy in place. Like he said, we didn't conceive it and program it to be a one-off thing, an event. Right from the conceptualization stage, we made it a process that is going to, of course, outlive this council of the institute. It is going to, even the initial 10-year period, is going to outlive about 5 councils of the institute. But what we intend to do is, as stakeholder managers, continue to engage with all the critical stakeholders, just like we started last year. We are not going to go to sleep over that. We will ensure that it remains on the front burner of discussions in the country. We will ensure that governments, of course, before we started, we reported ourselves to government so that nobody, we didn't leave any room for suspicion or for the breakdown of communication between us and the various stakeholders. Look, this is who we are. We are worried. This is what we want to do. We are not out to take over anybody's job. It is just our widow's mite of contribution towards national healing. So we will ensure that we keep governments at various levels on their toes, telling them, harping it on them, that this is the situation. Nigerians are angry, Nigerians are frustrated, Nigerians are disenchanted, and this is what they want. They are not asking for too much. All they are asking is that they be treated as human beings. Let them be prioritized. Let there be a deliberate retracing of steps. Let us ask ourselves the difficult questions. Where did we miss it? We had very good relationships. This perpetual prisoners to nostalgia. Every day, yesterday was better. Every day, every now and then, we reminisce. We have fond memories of yesterday because we are not enjoying today. No, we just felt we needed to be deliberate about this. How do we do this? And the youth thing you said, I'm glad that we have an army of angry youths, but that anger can actually be galvanized and turned and get turned into a positive force. We need to actually begin to breed a band of angry youths that ask the necessary questions. We must ensure that they are guided to ask the necessary questions, not questions of where our leaders come from or what God they worship. No, ask the tough questions of leadership. What have you done with the mandate that we have given you? What are you going to do differently from the person that is in place now? And the earlier on you talked about the issue of resources. I think even the resource thing is not been given a fair and adequate priority that it deserves. I think we have about 1 million square kilometers.
923,000 square kilometers.
973 actually.
23.
Okay, it's 23. About 1 million square kilometers, of which about 75% of which is arable. But you will weep if you realize that of that 75%, only 2.5% is being cultivated. What are we doing with the natural resources that we have? So it's not a question of resources. It is the deployment of the resources that is the problem, and which now zeroes down to leadership. We are not here to bash leadership, but we are here to speak the truth. You know, philosophers say the worst lie the worst lie is the one that you tell yourself and believe it. So we don't want to continue to tell ourselves a lie.
Yeah, Dr. Deliapu, leadership at all levels, even in the home, and let's talk here about failure from the home. And that is another level of leadership onto the community level and all that. It's a whole gamut that will be working towards this integration. Your 10-year period, which will continue to be reviewed and carried forward, what are the chances of success in this enterprise? And what I might be tempted to ask, are you putting in place to ensure that when this council is out, the next council believes in this dream and continues with it?
Very important question. You know, this is a project of the Institute, and I can say that given the leadership of the president, he made sure that everybody, at least 97% of members of the Institute, bought into this before we actually went out. We made sure that within our own home, we secured the mandate. And at every step we've taken, we have carried the Institute along very clearly. What that means is that whether he is there tomorrow or I am not there tomorrow, or even if the entire current council of the Institute, about 22 of us, were to retire by the time our tenure is over next year, I can assure you that out of this 97%, we must get people who are ready to continue from where we stopped. That's the essence of stakeholder engagement, which we talked about from the beginning. Because if we did not do a lot of work in getting our own stakeholders to buy into the project, that would have been a problem. You wouldn't have seen the success that we experienced. So I can tell you that it is an NIPR affair. That's number one. Number two, we have 75 other organizations, credible organizations, that are partnering with us.
Including NTA.
Including NTA. So it is, at some point, you will see that even if the institute, even if we have a kind of some leadership that begin to do something else, they will take the leadership from them and move on. And it is deliberate. Because we have said, we are not joking with this. We are putting our names on the line. So even if some characters come after we are gone from leading the institute, you will see other people who will say, sorry guys, you can stay, but we are going on.
Okay. Let's begin to wind down now and then we'll quickly go over to Sally Momali, and ask for your closing comments as we begin to wind down this discussion on the sustainability of this project.
Very much. Once again, the Institute for this initiative, I think they will have a large buy-in of a large section of Nigerians. Already they need to mobilize. They have to get other professional bodies in the country to key in. The Nigerian Union of Journalists, the Nigerian Bar Association, the various peace practitioners and those shapers of the opinions of the public. And importantly, our religious and our traditional leaders have to key in strongly into these. The youths can be mobilized, the youths can be galvanized, the youths can be provided with the needed capacity, like the president said, to exploit and develop Nigeria's existing resources. But they need the support, they need the right policy environments. I'm happy the agriculture, which is one of the mainstay, just launched the NATIP, the Nigerian Agricultural Technology Innovation, plan, which is an innovative framework that will allow a lot of young people to key into the agricultural sector. So there are huge opportunities in this country, there are huge resources in this country, but we have to change the mindsets, we have to change the narratives, we have to develop new ideals, and we have to set goals, positive goals for ourselves, and we need to engage Nigerian citizens. We need to create and pass the right messages. We have to stop this stereotyping, this profiling, these lies, I can call it outright, sometimes coded lies that are being propelled about different sections of this country against the other, and we must pass the right information and the right messages. There are rich people in every part of Nigeria, there are corrupt people in every part of Nigeria, there are poor people suffering and looking for opportunities for development in all parts of Nigeria. So if we develop our country positively, it's for the betterment of all of us. If we destroy any part or any section of it, it will all contribute to our negative and retrogression. So let us work together. I will still appeal to the Institute to continue to pursue this and to bring in the various organizations. In Kaduna State, we are trying our best at the level of Kaduna State Peace Commission, working with various communities to create this social cohesion. And like somebody said, we recognize that Nigerians do not value what we call the sanctity of life. A huge section have been allowed to deteriorate, and they don't see taking a life to mean anything. So that's why we have a lot of criminal gangs, we have a lot of drug barons killing Nigerians all over the country. And this has nothing to do with ethnicity, religion, or place of origin. This has to do with the disorientation of the mindsets of a few Nigerians whom we need to work with the security establishments to deal with in accordance with the laws, and then focus on the larger section of the Nigerian society through correct messaging, reorientation, and providing opportunities.
All right, Alhaji Isa Uzi Salami, your closing thoughts as we wind down and how to carry this forward and to sustain this drive for integration?
I think is lacking, and if we don't bring it into emphasis, is succession planning. We need to institutionalize succession planning in all facets of our life, because that will give us the correct and appropriate direction. Secondly, we must give credit or recognition to outstanding performance. And then we must also try to punish unacceptable behavior so that it becomes an example to deter other people. If we can do just these few things, a lot of things will improve to our surprise.
Thank you very much. And let me come to you, Muji. I have two questions for you here.
Okay.
The first is, what about the other participants here to talk about sustaining this project and ensuring its success? Then, after that, the other question will come in. I'll save it for now.
Yeah. All right. I think I have my hopes built that this can be institutionalized. What I saw at the summit totally speaks to the fact that as a people, we need the integration. As a people, for us forging ahead in terms of development, in terms of the world has become a global village. And if we're serious about the tag that we have given ourselves as the big brother, as the father of Africa, of the black world, then we need to be deliberate and serious about this integration. I also like to emphasize and concur to what Alhaji Ozi Salami said, during those finishing lines, that we must start thinking seriously of legacies. You see, because leadership, we don't hold them accountable for legacy. They just do and go away. There's nothing to show. At a point in this country, I started getting worried. Where are the leaders to look up to? We had the Saudanas of this world to talk about, the Tapabalewa, the Awolowos. Well, who are we talking about now? Have we as a country eroded ourselves of people that our youths can look up to? Those are the kind of things that I want as we go on with this integration, that we should start looking into. Legacies. Our legacies should speak for ourselves. Today, you and I will talk of Adamu Ogi, who are our mentors growing up as broadcasters, because of the legacy they left. But who are the youths looking up to? So these are some of the deliberate things, inputs that we need as we go on with this 10-year. As far as I'm concerned, it's going to be forever. Because you go to Rwanda, a young Rwandese is not telling you, he's not proudly, the young man at 7 is saying to me, I'm a Rwandese. I'm not Hutu. So we need to get to that.
All right. Thank you so very much. Well, I'll still come to you with that. That would be after I've said a big thank you to Madam Mukhtar Zubairu Siraju, President and Chairman of Governing Council, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Dr. Ike Neliaku, Chairman, National Planning Committee, NIPR Citizen Summit for National Integration, Peace and Security. It's always a pleasure to discuss with you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let me also say a big thank you to Sali Mamali, Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State Peace Commission. Thank you so much for being with us. Isa Ozi Salami, President, Nigerian Institute for Industrial Security, Lagos. We want to thank you very much and for availing us of your experience and thoughts on these matters. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And for my colleague here, that's the last question which I promised to ask you. How does it feel that you're not asking the questions?
I tell you, that's why I pleaded not to be grilled, but you did grill me. Okay. But it's been wonderful coming back here.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mojima Konjola, MFR, CEO, founder, International Society of Media and Public Health. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And thanks to you too for being part of this program. Next week we'll reach you again with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Continue to stay safe.
Thank you.
Computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Welcome to Africa, ancient civilization.